Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We got a lot to get to. Not a lot of time to do it, so let's get right to it. Texas basketball, big win over Oklahoma in a game they could not afford to lose. Texas baseball, another discussion. 0-3 start. Thank God we got Hardball to help us work it all down. He will console us, hopefully. We'll get into also some pro football focus articles that highlight some of your favorite lifetime Longhorns. We'll get into that coming up in the second segment. Also, Bill Connolly showing some love to the Longhorns. We'll also get into the All-Star Weekend. Yes, the All-Star Weekend review. Was it the worst All-Star game ever? A head coach in the NBA certainly thinks so. We'll get into that coming up. We also will dive into the NCAA, looking to change some of the rules of college football to try to shorten the game. All right, they're trying to cater to the short attention spans of all of us, yours truly as well. We'll get to that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. Originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for him it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hardball Harge. What's going on, brother?
Man, I'm glad to be back. It is you're right. It's a smooth soul Monday because we're definitely going to need to do some consoling when we talk about this Texas baseball team. But I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer when we start talking about this, so we'll get into it. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary, lifetime, and College Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate that intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP. He's one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. The man's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we damn sure that he's underpaid. It's Patrick Davis. How you doing, Patrick?
Oh, it's another Monday.
See, there you go. That's how you know he's underpaid. That's it. Another Monday. There you go.
That is a great way of putting it, PD.
That's a man who's overworked, all right, this Monday, damn it. So that means he's got more work than ever. On a holiday, by the way, President's Day edition of Ball Don't Lie. So hope everybody out there is having a great holiday as well. All right, Specs Text Live's the best way to hit us up, 512-337-3776. We will talk about the NBA All-Star Weekend. We'll get into that as well. But we'll start off talking about Texas sports. Howard, how do you want to start? You want to start with Texas baseball?
No, let's talk about basketball.
You really don't?
Yeah, I really don't want to talk about baseball real quick.
You don't want to talk about it?
We'll definitely get into it throughout the day and
All
definitely be a part of the Hard Knocks life as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that we will unpack when it comes to this Texas baseball team.
So it's a good news, bad news, and you want the good news first.
Yeah, I want the good news first.
All right, let's get into it. Yeah, it is. It is good news, but it is the Big 12, so I think the Longhorns were actually double-digit favorites in this game over Oklahoma. I know at times you'll put your money where your mouth is, but
did not do so this weekend.
Well, you've been watching the Big 12.
Yes, I have.
So you know, hell, man, that's a fool's bet right there. Anytime you talk
unless you go the other way.
Unless you go the other way. Amen to that. Longhorns win in overtime, 85-83, pulled out a dramatic win over Oklahoma. And it's one of those things where you just got to find a way to win and survive. It almost feels like the tournament and sounds like that in the Big 12 because it is the toughest conference in the country. But since we start off in the narrative about this game, I think we'll start, and hell, maybe it ends with Sir Jabari Rice.
Always.
Once again. 24 points. He was amazing. 19 of those in the second half.
Yeah,
I mean, the man is just he comes up clutch when you need him. He's looking at basically took over the game with like 6 minutes left in regulation at that point. Kind of took over the game, made like 3 clutch baskets in a row there for Texas, and really set them up to force the overtime because it looked for a while there like Oklahoma may have control of the game. They had a chance to take control of the game, but Texas and their leadership stepped up at the right time and forced the overtime and also ended up kind of pulling away from Oklahoma. But Oklahoma did not relent. I mean, they made it tight the whole time. It was 84-77 at one time. In overtime, you thought, okay, All right, they finally put him away. They did not. They kept coming back like Pet Cemetery.
It's like popping
Over
up
and over again,
every time
man.
you
They
saw
really
him. It's
did.
like, I thought you were Dad.
Yeah, I'll give
yeah.
respect to the Sooners because I mean they played like a rival should, even though Texas ends up getting a sweep this season.
Yeah, as I was sitting there, I was trying to do my best Craig Way. No. Not on the microphone, but multitasking, trying to watch and call a baseball game as this basketball game is going on. So I have my computer up and I'm trying to watch the game and I'm going back and forth. And I'm like, there's no way this game is this close. And at one point, Texas was down. And I kept saying, okay, what are they going to do next? What are they going to do next? Well, what they continue to do is find instant offense from Sir'Jabari Rice. I know at one point, even our man Brock Cunningham scored 8 straight points. So it was one of those things where you needed other people to be involved for you to finish this game off. And one of the things that I continue to wonder, and people have been talking about this, and I don't think it should happen because I keep looking at the Texas bench, and what have we been talking about all year, Rod? Sir'Jabari Rice is the best 6-man in the country. So why not? You can still leave him there. But just like they did in this game, you can cut other people's minutes and have him on the court. I always talk about it ain't how you start, it's how you finish. And if he's on the court at the end of the game, we expect good things to happen. The one thing that I want to continue to talk about, and I think it needs to be talked a little bit more about, is something that I kept pointing out to Patrick, really, was it gets to the point where Marcus Carr tries to over-dribble sometimes. And the whole key for the success of this team is obviously he's going to score. We get that. But sometimes it's best for him to not have the ball in his hand and look to be a facilitator or have someone else do it and then get the rock back to you. He gets so comfortable with it, and I don't blame him. I mean, he's used to being a ball-dominant point guard because of the systems that he's been in. But in this situation, earlier in the year when he was cooking, it looked like everybody was trying to find him. Remember that game where he was just putting it up and everybody was making sure he got the ball? Well, this game was one of those games where he should have deferred a little bit more and used Sir'Jabari Rice in those clutch moments because he obviously had it going in that game. So there's a little give and take, and they won the game, so there's not too much that we should be upset about. But if you're going to point out some of these things for later in the season, that is something that we're going to end up having to talk about because people can make you give up the rock by double teaming you. If you're going to be that ball dominant, and what that does is create turnovers. So sometimes you need to not be that guy and work your way to get it back. That's the only gripe that I've had all year because I could see it starting to develop slowly. And you and I have even talked about it. I'm like, I just wish sometimes he would get off the rock and get it back sometimes because they're going to press you. They're going to try to make you give the ball up. And there were times when I was watching the game where the pass was right there for him, but he was still kind of dribbling it. But at the end, Texas won. Don't want to beat it too much. And Sir'Jabari Rice has continued to make that step. And, again, I thought Brock played a good basketball game this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think in this game, and there is times Marcus Carr over dribbles. This one, I think the fault wasn't on him as much as some of the other guys on the court.
Not getting open for him.
And the fact they wouldn't attack, he would get doubled, pull the defense with him. They're now playing a 3-on-4. They would pass the ball, and whoever it was would wait for the defense to reset and then wait and then pass the ball back to Marcus Carr and be like, we're waiting for you to do something to get us open. And you're like, he just did it.
Yeah.
He just pulled the double back.
Right.
Like, if he can pull 2 defenders out of the play completely and he passes you the ball, you need to attack that basket as fast as you can because then everyone will collapse and it'll be an open 3, or they won't collapse and you get an open 2. That's the way, and they just really haven't done that in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to figure that out because Tech and Oklahoma both took the same method, which was remove Marcus Carr from the game, and Texas' offense does not run without him. Right. And now Jabari Rice does not care. He does not care. He will go get his own shot up.
Yeah.
And Brock Cunningham has been good to be more of a shooter when left open. But Timmy Allen really needs to take control as the secondary guy when they start doubling Marcus Carr, because you'll watch him and he'll try and analytically break down. You're like, dude, you have to go. You have a mismatch, but you only have it for another second.
Right.
So you need to continue to make this mismatch work. And he hasn't been doing it. Dylan Mitchell doesn't do it. Dylan DeSue did a little bit, but he'll hold the ball if you've got a big post player that bodies him in the post. And all those guys, wherever he's throwing it to, they're just waiting too long on that play. And It was something where you're like, this just needs to be worked on in practice, where I know you're practicing with Marcus Carr as the guy. You need to start taking some of your practice where you're like, no, everybody knows the formula now.
Right.
So you need to practice Marcus Carr basically and play 4-on-3, but you're like, I'm going to insert that second guy back in. It'll be 4-on-4 in just a second. So
Yeah.
you need to try and get the ball moving as fast as you can, because that's something you need to go. Other than that, they got out-rebounded by a terrible rebounding team.
Yep.
The lack of effort was monumental in these last two games. And I know they're games you're supposed to win. I'm hoping when they show up on Tuesday night, then they're playing ranked teams again, and they're going to be back in it, and they're going to be a little bit more egg on their face that they barely pulled out one of the two wins that they should have been. You should have walked through this 3-game stretch.
Right.
And you barely got one out of the last two.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
hopefully
that's
they will come out.
expectation. But the Big 12 is
No,
just
I
one of
get
those
it, but
leagues where
I was sitting on the side of the
it's-
court. They
it's tough.
played a really bad basketball game. Oklahoma played well. They had a good game plan to go against them. It should not have been as close as it was. It just should not have been.
Is it possible they just match up well with them because they played them good at home?
No,
too?
I mean, you can say that
You might have been a good team,
that
but you can match
officiating
up
didn't
well
help
with
because
other
our big
teams.
guys got in foul trouble. You can say the ball, I've never seen the ball bounce that way for a team. As many points as they got off Texas would play a really good defensive stand, and the ball would just dribble 1 inch out further, and they catch the ball and go get a layup. And you were like, it happened probably 8 or 9 times in that game. It was crazy how many times that happened in that game. All that being said, if we are saying that this Texas team is going to be a 1 or a 2 seed in the tournament, then that's unacceptable. So I get it all, and if we're talking old Texas, that is hey, we're going to be a 4 or 5 seed, that's fine. But we are now down to the end of the season, and some of these things just need to start getting worked out. It's not hey, man, we're not going to do anything. It's this is a reality check wake-up time for you, and, you need to take this as a reality check and not say, you can't say, oh, it's the Big 12, because you go, cool, well, we're about to go play in a tournament where we're going to play a lot of really good teams, and if we want to win in that, we need to be able to play at a higher level consistently, and we had done it most of the season, and has just fallen off in these last few games.
The NCAA tweeted out their seeding for the NCAA just right now, obviously just projections. They have Bama, U of H, Purdue, and Kansas as number 1 seeds, and Texas as number 2 seed, along with Arizona, Baylor, and UCLA, I believe. Yeah. 3 seeds, Tennessee, Virginia, and Iowa State, and K-State. A lot of Big 12 love, of course. And their 4 seeds, they have Indiana, Marquette, Zags, Xavier. Obviously, that's just a thought experiment at this point. But the Longhorns are right there. I mean, as the number 5 team in the country, they're right there. If they can win the Big 12 regular season, they would definitely be considered a team that should be a number 1 seed. They got to beat Kansas to do that.
Right.
And Kansas right now.
And they got to beat Iowa State. They got to beat all these other teams to be able to get
That's what I'm saying.
there,
If you
too.
do it, if you end up, you
earn that.
You earn that.
Yeah.
Especially with the remaining schedule, Texas. With the remaining schedule they have, it's really tough, but it does kind of lay out perfectly for you to grab the number 1 seed if you take care of business. You got Iowa State, then you add Baylor, add TCU, then Kansas.
I guess the biggest thing for me at this stage of the year, even though all these teams are playing well and it is the Big 12, there are some moments where you're sitting there and saying, we should be cleaner. We should be cleaner with the basketball. We should be able to get into our offense. And even if there's a little bit of adjustments, you guys have been playing together for quite some time now. In the way that he brings people in and out, I think he's done a great job since the beginning of when he took over. I think there was a little bit of a growing pain where everybody was trying to understand what was going to happen, the significance of losing your head coach. But now he's got it all figured out. The rotations have been great. Things have been going well. But I just think sometimes, to Patrick's point, they get into these little lulls and the lack of effort. Because we've been talking about it, and everybody across the country knows that the Big 12 is a tough conference. So there should be no slow starts. There shouldn't be any of those times where you're still trying to figure it out, because you know what it's about. And that's for other teams as well. I mean, K-State, and they've had their little lulls. TCU, they've had their moment as well, because K-State went from the hottest team to now kind of falling back into the pack, and now they got to try to turn it and ratchet back up as well. So if they get hot at the right time, you know as well as I do, you get into that tournament, everything changes.
Well, that's kind of my thing. If you compare Texas's resume to other Big 12 teams, they actually have had the fewest, if any. They haven't had the fewest of any lulls during the season. Haven't had back-to-back losses. We've seen stretches for every other Big 12 team, at least the ones that are considered good Big 12 teams. They're all. I mean, that's it's a strange thing to say these days. I think even the worst team in the Big 12 team is a good team. But still, their resume really stacks up where Texas hasn't had a bad stretch really this season. They've been able to be resilient and come back. So I'm not saying you guys aren't right about they need to play cleaner games. I'm just saying, give the Big 12 some credit. Give the Big 12 some credit. That's why they struggle sometimes in games. We've noticed some things that are just characteristics of this team, whether it be the slow start, sluggish start, whatever it is. Tyrese Hunter, we may just have to accept that Tyrese Hunter is what Tyrese Hunter is. And the belief that Tyrese Hunter, hey, long as he's got it together by the time the tournament comes around, he's good. I know we still got time for that, but honestly, that's just hope right now. You're just going off hope and faith. Ain't nothing that really has.
I think they date.
There's no evidence.
I think they date.
Huh?
Hope and faith. I think they go together.
They should. But there's no evidence that Tyrese Hunter's going to
get to
break
that
out of
point.
some funk and now he's trending in the right direction. No, he is what he is. And I think that's part of the realization that, okay, maybe there are some limitations because the belief was, and I agree with Harsh early on, they would have 3 stellar guards. And the truth is, Marcus Carr has been playing at a really high level all year long. His highest level he's ever played at since he's been here. And we already talked about Serge Jabari Rice. I mean, he's a better 6th man in the country potentially than Serge Jabari Rice. He's been unbelievable.
Right.
He's been extremely clutch. Tyrese Hunter, it is what it is. You got 2 out of 3. You ain't got 3.
You ain't got 3.
So
No, Tyrese Hunter's played good defense at some points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm not saying he's not contributing at all.
agree with you,
I'm saying he's not at all.
not
what
that offensive threat.
Yeah, everybody,
Right.
the expectations that we've had for him,
Yes.
he's not going to meet that. Unless maybe he just has to. So we've seen it before, a tournament of his life where the regular season was mediocre and average.
And
but
everybody goes, that's the Tyrese I was waiting for.
it could happen. But like I said, that's hope and faith.
Yep.
You can't be building game plans on that right now and essentially building your identity on that right now going into the tournament.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why I'm being harsh on it. And yes, the Big 12 is good. I get it. Oklahoma's not a bad team. But if we're going to pretend like Texas is a top 10 team in the country, and we want them to be a top 5 team in the country, we can't say the bottom end of the Big 12 is good enough to be putting us to overtime. That's just the reality of if you want to be a good team. When Duke and North Carolina are the number 1 seed, they don't care that Virginia's a good team in the ACC. They beat them by 15. Like I get the point, but it's if you want to get there, this is what worries me is this is how basketball works. Is a team plays really well for the beginning and at the end they taper off as teams really start to figure out their identity. And Texas is in real danger of that happening if they don't adjust quickly enough.
Happens in football too.
Yes,
It does.
It happens in all sports.
Definitely
Once
happens in all
once you've
sports.
been found out, and once they went, oh, we thought we could just kind of guard, if we slowed down Marcus Carby enough, but we didn't realize if we take him out, the rest of this team shuts down offensively.
It's funny that
And
you say
Jabari
that.
Rice doesn't, but the fact that Timmy Allen has not stepped up more is concerning because he is good enough to do it. He's done it in the past, and it's just he's just not processing things quick enough, but he can. And so I want to see a guy like Timmy Allen step up in that. I want to see Dylan DeSue make quicker decisions in the post. I'd love to see Arterio Morris get some time in there and just see if he instinctually is going to be able to move quick enough. And yeah, it may get some turnovers, but the stopping of the ball as soon as Marcus Carr passes it out of a double team has to stop.
Yep.
Because everyone is going to double team Marcus Carr until you prove him wrong. And you could lose your next 4 games with people doing that to you if you don't figure out a way around it. Just because, you can't have stretches of 4 minutes that you don't score pretty much the rest of the season.
No, I agree. And if not for Brock Cunningham in the first half, you
Right.
have a terrible first half.
But that was the thing.
He just came out and had an amazing first half.
They passed out of double teams, and Brock was open, and he took the shot, and he hit it.
Did a great job.
And that's what you have to do.
Yeah, he was
And
really
that's what I'm saying is Brock got it because Brock is a 5th-year senior who's about to be a
Coming back.
6th-year senior.
Yeah.
But he gets I want to win that game. What are they going to do? What could go wrong? What can go right? He can make that process. Timmy Allen can do that. Christian Bishop can do that. Dylan DeSue can do that. All these guys can do that.
You need to see more of it.
I need to see them trust themselves because they are a top 10 team in this country. You need to play like it and not play like, hey man, if we let this go, we gotta hang in there with Oklahoma. No, you need to beat the crap out of Oklahoma. You coulda.
Yeah.
It's time to stop flashing.
That's what I'm saying.
And be more consistent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen the flashes. That's
Yeah.
obvious. For
And
all of us.
again, Oklahoma played a good game.
They fought like hell.
We want to be. We
Yeah, they
expect
did.
this Texas team to be a top 5 team in the country, and we're talking about them getting a 1 seed. If you want to talk about getting a 1 seed, that's the team you need to be.
It's different brand of basketball, different level of basketball. I agree. I'm with you.
It's ironic that you said that about, getting hot at the right time and losing games and you're trending in the wrong direction. We'll talk about baseball in a little bit, but that's the same thing with the baseball team. You saw them at the beginning
transition
of the year.
right now. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Boom. You're fine. No. We'll talk about that a little bit. No. Transition. You just a smooth transition you just made. You're Craig Way-ish transition right there. Go ahead on, brother. You got the floor. Go ahead.
It is ironic
Go.
because I got a text. We got a text just a second ago from CB talking about didn't Texas lose every game in Arlington in 21 and made it to the College World Series, went deep and all that stuff. Well, go back to last year, I believe it was. They won 11 games in a row last year, started 11-0 preseason high, and they were 2 barbecue in the World Series as well. But that team and this team is built totally different. That team in 21, they had experienced guys. They had more maturity on that team. They were coming off of that Snowvid where they didn't get a lot of reps. And it's just like this weekend. Those arms that they saw were not something that they had seen during the fall. That's not something that they had seen during practice. They saw their own arms during that time, and it's a lot different when those guys come out there. I'm just going to tell you this. There was 15,000 people 17,000, in that Friday night game, and I guarantee you this, the play that was the difference in the game was Diggs, the right fielder, or he was DH in that game, hit a ball to third base to Flores, the freshman. Ball went by him real quick. 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, a month from now, he makes that play routinely. Okay. He makes that play routinely, and we just go ahead and go on about our business. They get out of the inning. It's a totally different ball game. Same thing with the balls to shortstop and second base yesterday. If they make those plays, the score, that is not what happened yesterday. It was the long inning. They got 8 runs in 1 inning, and none of them were earned. None of them were earned because we had 4 errors between the 2 middle infielders. So, and there were freshmen. They were freshmen that were doing this. So when you sit back and you start thinking about where this team is right now, there is some silver lining at the end of this rainbow. Okay. There might be a pot of gold there. I don't know for sure because we're still going to learn. And there's a lot of baseball to be played. But the one thing that they all have to do, and I said this morning on B&E, I said these kids got to grow up, and they got to grow up right now because there is no waiting. It's still baseball. It's still 90 feet, 60 feet from the mound. The dimensions are all the same. This is the time. And I also want to mention this. This team went from playing and practicing on turf every single day to going to playing in a big league park where dirt is involved, where there's so much that has gone on into this deal. Now, Trey Faltini not walking through that door. Skylar Messenger's not walking through that door. Douglas Hodo is not walking through that door. And along with some of these other pitchers, Pete Hansen and all that, these guys have to grow up, and they got baptized this weekend. Man. You got put in the fire. The games were closer than what it looked like, and I'll get into that. But those games were close, and Texas had opportunities. But for a young team, you are going to have to grow up and grow up fast because it's not going to get any easier. It's not getting any easier. LSU is coming in next week. They're going to play them on a Tuesday night game. Then you got other games that you're going to end up having to play. This is going to have to happen right now, and you're going to have some growing pains from this team. But I tell you this much. Make sure that all of you take a program. When you get to the ballpark, buy a program because you are going to have to learn a lot of these new players because it's not the same.
Is it so? Is the inexperience is the biggest issue
right now?
You were saying, right?
For sure.
In the new era of college sports that we live in, NIL and /transfer portal era, Is that an excuse for a blue blood like Texas?
It definitely should not be an excuse. And if I sound like that, I don't want it to
No,
sound.
no, you don't sound like that.
No,
I'm just talking from some outsider looking in.
By all means, you need to attack the portal and attack it hard. But if you miss on some of your portal guys because somebody else gets them, it kind of stands out for you a little bit.
That's why I bring up the NIL thing, because
Yeah.
you're Texas too, and you're a blue blood now.
And
you ain't Texas baseball is supposed to be a different level, and the NIL era, or is that so? And I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Hey, Texas is supposed to be on the winning end of NIL and transfer portal, and it seems like if you have an inexperienced team, then maybe you're now on the winning end of it. Not saying you're losing, but
like
you're now
I
on the
said,
winning end of it.
you might have missed on some of those, whether it was the NIL, whether it was something else that they didn't feel right about. There are some guys that you should have gotten and you missed out on, and now you're going to end up having to deal with that because it is I'm telling you right now, Vanderbilt is going to be a team to pay attention to in the Big 12 conference. TCU and Oklahoma State. I got a chance to watch both of them, all of their games. I got a chance to see that.
Yeah,
they are a talented team, and they got some guys that came through in the transfer portal that are difference
Impact
makers.
players. So.
Yeah, that are difference makers.
And for Texas, I mean, this is every sport. It ain't just baseball, but it is especially baseball.
Yeah.
And beating Texas has a special kind of satisfaction.
And that's where I said these kids got to grow up fast.
It's borderline erotic.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly. And and on Friday night when the Hogs were being called,
yes, I was saying, yeah. That's
you could hear that real
that was the
loud
Hogs
and clear.
coach that said that.
That's right.
Was it Brett Bean? Was that?
Yeah. When the Hogs give you a
Like,
call,
hey, man.
they come in the droves, man.
Yeah, because you beating Texas, especially in Texas baseball.
And they were in my hotel too.
Okay.
And they were proud when they walked back to that hotel after beating Texas. They didn't care that they lost to anybody else over the weekend.
Yeah.
They beat Texas.
And I know people are making a lot of comparisons to the start last season, correct? Because it was 0-3, but it was the Snowvid.
That was 2
happened.
years ago.
2
the
years ago,
Snowvid,
sorry.
yeah.
The Snowvid 2 years ago and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. That's a very good point. But
This
it's
is
a different reason why they started 0-2.
This is a different character team as well.
Yeah.
Because those guys that went to Omaha after starting 0-3, they had big arms that could go out there and fight for you. They had some other guys that were there. I don't know where the arms are going to come from. And again, this is a sample size for the weekend. This is a sample size. So let's not lose
panic?
our minds. No panic yet.
You don't want to panic yet?
I said yet.
When do you want to panic? You let me know.
I'll let you know.
No need to panic
No,
yet.
no,
It's still too early
It's
to
still
panic.
too early. We got
Yeah.
a lot of baseball to be played.
Yeah, we'll let you know when we press the panic button. Can we get a panic sounder ready to go though, just in case?
Oh, yeah.
With the panic. Can we get a panic sounder? So we
Like
actually
we'll have to go in
we'll
there.
we'll
I'm
give
gonna be like this.
we'll give Harge the button. Harge, he's the baseball guy, so he'll only have access to the panic button, and he will let you Texas baseball fans know when to hit it, and then we'll play the panic
will
sound. I don't even
definitely
know
have
what it's
it
gonna
for you.
sound like. Patrick will come up with something clever because he's the ideal millionaire on the
No
show.
doubt.
All right, we'll come back. We'll discuss some more Texas basketball, Texas baseball later on in the show. We come back. Pro Football Focus showing Longhorn Nation some love, and they got it wrong. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Everybody knows that my favorite tequila is Hot Cat Tequila. Over the weekend, as a matter of fact, it was a great weekend, partly because of Hot Cat Tequila. That's right, I got a chance to enjoy myself, and I did it by enjoying some Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe, just as simple, just as brilliant, and delicious. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, hey, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. Turns every event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Once you try Hot Cat, you won't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you ordered rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. You can turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. So no football watch party is complete, or any sports watch party is complete, without Hot Cat Tequila. Perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or a night on the town with family and friends. Hell, if you just want to celebrate President's Day the right way, do it safe and responsibly, but you can do it with Hot Cat Tequila. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila, or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up this new year with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday. And it's apropos because my man Patrick, I believe his intent was to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may have had a tough weekend. That was certainly the case for Texas baseball fans. Tough weekend.
No doubt.
0-3 start, but that's okay. All right, keep hope alive. It's still early, and hopefully in Hard Knock Life, my man Hard is going to drop you some optimism.
Some positivity out there.
That's what they need.
I'm here to bring it.
They gonna need that positivity, man.
I'm here to bring it.
But that's okay. All right, well, to bring you positivity on President's Day edition of Ball Don't Lie. So we appreciate you guys who are joining us on President's Day. All right, so there are a couple of articles that I want to hit here. Pro Football Focus, they put out an article which I thought was pretty interesting. They did their basically their NFL draft, but a kind of a no holds barred edition of their NFL draft. So they basically disregarded the the rules about eligibility and when guys will be eligible for the draft. So just drafting best overall players, period, is kind of where they went, which I thought was pretty interesting. I thought that was pretty good. They did show love to a Longhorn in their no holds barred draft that they did. And strangely enough, when I looked at it, I was like, I think it's going to be a Longhorn on here. Because usually there's a Longhorn listed just to try to, sometimes it's clickbait.
Yes.
They know Longhorns love their program, and let's list a Longhorn there just because they want to try to get Longhorns riled up. And they know you guys will click it. All right? Yep. And it's a smart move. So this could be clickbait. Just preference, I'm throwing it out there. All right? It could be. I'm not saying it ain't. If Longhorn fans start hitting those specs text line right now, Robbie, whatever, man. All right? Because sometimes Pro Football Focus will plant what is basically the equivalent of a sports thirst trap.
Oh, yeah.
It's all it is. Instagram.
You got to have some part of it that is true to make you look at it and then, wait a minute.
It's basically a thirst trap. They do it all the time. And, hell, most guys will fall for it like they do on Instagram. Mm-hmm. One puts it out there like, oh, man, I'm going to go through them pics, all right, the thirst trap. Well, they have a Longhorn ranked. Oh, it's not ranked, but he is in their first round mock draft, irregardless of eligibility rules. That means they can draft anybody from college football. They have a Longhorn being drafted 30th overall. Who do you think it is?
To who?
Who do you think it is? Oh, 30th to the New Orleans Saints, actually.
Yeah.
Who do you think it is?
Oh, we all know who it is. It's a thirst trap. Everybody, they want to see him dropping them bombs. They want to see him dropping them bombs.
Yes, sir.
They want everybody to look at that QB, that position where everybody is. I thought for sure it was going to be Arch Manning, since they were talking about anybody could be drafted.
You know what I'm saying? That's a good point.
That would have been another one, especially because it's New Orleans.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it could have been that. But the fact that they went to QB1 with the new fresh fade, you know what I'm saying? They went to that. I was like, okay.
Yeah. And the truth is, if you're watching Longhorn football, we all know the one that's worthy of that draft pick, it ain't Quinn Ewers on this team. It's Kelvin Banks.
Yes.
If there is a player on the Longhorn roster right now that you could draft and you are guaranteed to draft in the first round because a first-round pick has to work out for you.
Yep.
It's somebody you can't afford to miss on. You can miss on your third, fourth, fifth, sixth round pick. You can miss on those guys. But all the draft capital you spend on the first-round pick, it's got to be a guaranteed for sure hit.
Right.
Kelvin Banks is that more so than a Quinn Ewers. Now, Quinn Ewers may have a higher upside just because the quarterback position has more impact.
Right.
And, it can extend your championship window, all those things. But if you're just looking at the best overall football player right now on the Longhorn roster with Bijan Robinson gone,
right,
it's Kelvin Banks.
Couldn't agree more. That would have been the first person that I thought when it initially came out and you were thirst trapping. I was thinking it was going to be Kelvin Banks.
I thought it was going to be two of them. I thought it was going to be Quinn and Kelvin.
Right. No doubt about it. And I don't know, especially because of what you talked about, Pro Football Focus has been very high on Kelvin Banks since his arrival at the University of Texas. The way they viewed him, the way they looked at him during every game and how he graded out, absolutely that's what you thought would have been it. But I'm sitting here looking at this Quinn Ewers pick, and are they looking at him as the type of person to what you said as the upside, right? You're looking at his arm strength. You're looking at what we all saw initially when the videos were coming out. Well, we got a chance to see him all through high school as well. So we understood what was there, and there's no doubt about it. We all believe that if he continues to improve, that he will be a first-round pick. That's your 5-star athlete. You're a perfect scorer.
Yeah.
You have that ability. But the fact that he was there at number 30 and not Kelvin Banks somewhere else in this thing, it's like, okay, I see where it's at.
Yeah.
Got to have one.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going third strap. But like I said, I agree with you. I think Quinn, it should have been potentially both of them if you're going just high upside, because Quinn Ewers has that upside.
Mm-hmm.
But Kelvin Banks already, as a freshman, 13 starts at left tackle, second team All Big 12, but he allowed only 2 sacks and 12 pressures.
Right.
When he went up against guys like Will Anderson, who's going to be a first-round pick, Will McDonald, who's going to be an NFL player, Felix Anudike Uzoma.
Player of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Big 12 defensive player of the year. By the way, didn't allow sacks to any of those guys.
Right.
I mean, he's got a shot. He's got a shot to be the best left tackle in college football after his sophomore season.
Yeah.
He's got a real shot at it, which is crazy.
And we heard about his work ethic. We've heard about his work ethic.
And his leadership.
Yeah, and he's ready to lead. He's one of those guys that if you go back and look at all the games that he started this year, which was every one, go watch the way he interacts with his teammates and how he hustles and where he goes to pick up the quarterback and the running back. Those are things that guys in the NFL don't even do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the types of things when you look at the game and you're not just following the ball as most people do and watch what happens in the trenches, you'll be very impressed with the way he's worked all year.
Yeah, I mean, you just got done having the luxury of having the best running back in college football for the last 2 years. Hell, maybe even longer than that, but definitely the last 2 years.
Yep.
And I think this year, if the young man stays focused, and it looks like he is extremely focused, Texas could end up having the best left tackle. You got a chance to have the best left tackle in college football.
Right.
Got a shot.
And maybe
at
the
it.
best lineman in the history of Texas Longhorn football.
Well, I don't know about all them. I don't know.
I'm just saying he could be.
He could be.
He could be. He's
When
trending.
When it's all said and done.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Not right now.
Okay.
Not right
Yeah.
now. But I'm saying he could be in the ranks of the best offensive lineman to ever come out of this university.
It's got that kind of upside.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. But yeah, the Pro Football Focus articles, like I said, the Quinn Ewers thing. This is about Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers' last game versus Washington showed a lot of promise from him and from Sark as a play caller. The thing about Quinn Ewers and his unbelievable generational arm talent is that it can be a bit of a trap.
Right.
And it's a trap for him as a player, but also a trap for Sark as a play caller, because the arm talent is generational. I've talked to enough scouts and I've read enough opinions and I've seen enough kind of evaluations overall of Quinn Ewers, whether it be from the high school level all the way up to last season, that he does have an elite arm. We're talking about as good as it gets potentially. Mm-hmm. So they will always be considered to be a high upside, elite level talent overall at quarterback. But having the golden arm does not necessarily make you a great quarterback. And the trap is that Sark, and he fell for it early on, because remember, we all did, by the way, because we watched Quinn Ewers versus Bama for 1 quarter, and we watched him for 3 quarters versus Oklahoma when he came back.
Right.
And those kind of 4 quarters really distorted the perception and I think the overall evaluation of Quinn Ewers, because the belief was that's Quinn Ewers by Sark, and honestly, I think about Quinn too. Like, that's me. Yes, that's your potential. That's what you could be,
right,
if you're consistent. Because you get to Patrick's point about Texas basketball. If you're, we see what you guys could be. Yeah, you can play like the best team potentially in the country. You can play like that, but can you do it consistently? And the problem for Sark is, just because he can make every throw doesn't mean he should make every throw. Sark would fall into the trap of, he's got the golden arm. Right. I can call any damn passing play I want to. Yes, you can. But should you?
Right, right.
And I think after the Bama game, we got into, he felt more and more, Oklahoma State game, probably the best example of it, that Sark kind of fell victim to it.
Yep.
Oh, golden arm, baby. It'll save us.
Well, he
It'll
told
be
us from
the
the
golden
beginning.
arm will be the savior. It's like no. Yes, the arm is golden, but there's a head attached to some shoulders that's attached to the arm that also needs to be developed and brought along carefully because he's a young QB. And for some reason, Sark's is looking at the arm. It's like, no, the arm is not separate from the body.
Right.
They are all together. You got to still
Gotta be
develop the
cohesive.
player
Yeah.
and the football IQ of the player. So when Bama was playing man-to-man defense, he was just making these golden throws, the golden arm, and dropping dimes. Man, throwing them bombs. Everybody was like, yes, this is it. We told you. It is manifested. He is a golden god. And it's like, well, somebody played zone on him, and he couldn't figure out how to just process a zone coverage. Like, oh, yeah, I guess we got to go back to the drawing board. Yes.
Yeah.
Because, just like coaches make, they make the adjustments. Coaches made adjustments and figured, all right, well, he can make any throw in man coverage because man coverage is a very simple read for a quarterback. He's in man, make the throw. Throw it to a spot or throw the guy open.
Right.
Well, when you play zone, not that easy.
Nope.
Play zone, you got to read the zone. You got to figure out where a guy's dropping. You got to make your pre-snap read that must match up with your post-snap diagnosis, all those things. And that's a little behind, and teams figured it out. So then what did Sark go to? Some simple things. Quick game, quick game, quick game, quick game, quick game, quick game. He went some simple things and put some Bijan on it, put some Rojo on it, and it made life a whole lot easier. So the truth is, yes, he does have the golden arm, but don't fall for the trap. Just because he can make every throw doesn't mean he should make every throw. Is he mature enough in his quarterback development to understand why he needs to make certain throws?
Well, when you get to that point too, because your arm is so blessed, you get lazy because you've been living with it. That's why the footwork went awry. That's why certain balls started sailing because he's so used to being able to get away with being lazy because my arm strength will carry me. I've done it at shortstop. I've done it to where I know I have a good arm. I just sit back on a couple balls and then I get ready to fire it across the infield and it hits somebody in the bleachers. Because you're not being consistent with the work and the footwork of what you need to do to be a consistent thrower of the football or the baseball. That's the one thing that I've always talked about with him was I think he's getting lazy with his footwork because I could see certain things that he's so accustomed to being able to get it over with that he can't do it when pressure starts to mount in an actual game. It looks good. It looks beautiful when in warm-ups. It's like, woo, look at that beam over there.
And it worked against, the lesser opponents.
Right.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, they're coming at me from different angles. I got to throw off platform. I got to make sure I follow through. But those things from my fundamentals have left me, and now I'm scrambling to get it back. And it's really tough to do that. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's him falling victim
That's
to the golden
to
arm.
his own success.
So you can't, the golden arm thing, it's a bit of a trap.
Right.
Like, yes, you do have it, but it's almost like the ring in Lord of the Rings. It'll turn you from Schmeagol to Gollum real quick. My precious. Because you're just thinking about the golden arm and everything he can do for you. You forget about the fundamentals, as Harsh talked about, the technique, the little things. Because you're so obsessed with the big arm, the golden arm that makes the big throw.
Yep.
All right? It's like, yeah, that can happen. But if you don't pay attention to the little things, the fundamentals, then you're never going to be able in against elite competition in a big-time game on a big stage to make those throws.
It's a trap.
It is a trap. It's a trap for Sark. It's a trap for Sark. So we'll see if they fall for that trap again. Because I agree with Harsh. Harsh's been talking about the footwork forever, and it came back to haunt him.
Yep.
Once they started going up against better and better competition. So essentially, don't be Happy Gilmore. All right. If he's Happy Gilmore had, if you basically Happy Gilmore had the drive but couldn't get the short game and the medium range game, got it at the end of the movie, I guess. You know what I mean?
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
But that's basically what Quentin Ewers is right now. Hopefully, like the end of the movie in Happy Gilmore, he develops the short game, the medium range game, and becomes a more well-rounded player.
I think his work ethic is going to change because there's a lot of people in that room that want a chance to play as well, and another 5-star recruit.
Yeah, best case scenario, we never see any of those other guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. All right, good stuff there. We'll come back. We got the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friend. He should be your friend, too, Dr. Greg Eckert. Now, they spell it with a U, which is appropriate because he's all about you. He's all about the patient, making sure you get the best quality dental care available. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be dental anxiety, which all of us have. I got a little bit of it. Buggy talks about he had a little bit of it. Well, before you go to Dr. Greg Eckert, because Dr. Eckert is fantastic, folks. So it doesn't matter what you need. Any dental procedure you may have, my friend Dr. Greg Eckert can help you out. General dentistry, teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team are all about. And right now, he can give you a brand new smile in just one day. That's because he's always on the cutting edge of the technological advances in general dentistry. So we're talking about a brand new smile in just one day. Let me break it down for you. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures until they can complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, call Dr. Greg Eckert today to learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. New teeth in one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. You. Give him a call, 512-345-3166, 512-345-3166. It's a complimentary consultation. You got nothing to lose but everything to gain. DrEckert.com, DrUeCKERT.com. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9. We play some smooth soul jams that are meant to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may be dealing with a hard time. And that was certainly for Texas baseball fans over the weekend. But go to Flex. Flex will make you feel better about things. Go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. A lot of great new content up there for you. They also have the 7-on-7 dates for your summertime 7-on-7 tournament dates. They're up there on FLXATX.com, so you can go check that out as well. They also have the 2023 playoffs Texas High School Hoops by District Outlook, so you can go check out some of the coverage for the high school basketball action here in Central Texas, too. So a lot of great stuff up there for you. Go to FLXATX.com.
And a lot of those are going to be happening tonight. They kick off tonight. Our man Zay Collier of Chad and Zay will be doing TV with Roger Wallace tonight, as he will be at Pflugerville High School as Buda Johnson takes on Vandergrift. Westlake will take on Westwood in by-district play. In 5A by-district, Rouse will take on Kerrville Tivy. They haven't given us where they're going to be playing some of those games at, but it's going to be important. LBJ takes on Georgetown tonight. I don't know where that location is. It's all to be determined. So get on the Flex website and find out a little bit more.
Yeah, go check it out for yourself, FLXATX.com. It's just that simple. Or go to FLXATX on all your social media platforms. All right, we come back. We got the All-Star Game review coming up. NBA head coach said it was the worst All-Star Game he's ever seen. We'll see if the fellas agree or disagree with that, and we'll review winners, dunk competition, or the three-point competition, and the All-Star Game MVP for Jason Tatum. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday. Who is this?
This is Ovi Wright.
Oh, you know what I thought it was? I thought it was Bobby Womack.
No, it's Ovi Wright with
Okay.
I Don't Do Windows.
I don't do
Is it-
Windows.
I'm trying to. obviously, it's a little tough to listen to the lyrics.
Yeah,
is it?
yeah. It's,
Okay, that's what
So
I
yeah,
okay.
so it's not talking about Windows.
Okay, so it's like obviously that's a euphemism or something.
No,
That
well,
was
so apparently, I don't do Windows was a common phrase for like I don't do menial work.
Yeah.
So like I don't do that stuff like.
okay.
So if you were like at a job and they were like, "Hey, you're gonna do this," and it's like, "I don't do Windows,"
I get
so
that.
it'd be
I
like
like
I think, but she's So
Okay,
yeah,
I get it.
No, it's a catchy little song about something like that though.
No, it is. I've actually never heard of this song before, but it's actually kind of like it though. It's not bad at all. So I wonder who is this actually.
Hey, the guy's smoking a cigarate on the album cover. It's
I
always
was going to
good.
say, you can tell by the
I
voice.
mean, I want to smoke a cigarette just listening to this song.
Sunglasses on, smoking.
Exactly. It's one of those ones that makes you want to light up a heater. You get us on the specs next on 512-337-3776. My man Patrick keeping us on our toes on a Smooth Soul Monday. We'll get back to Texas baseball. As a matter of fact, my man Harge got some Texas baseball coming up for you on Harsh Knock Life, correct?
Correct, man.
All
We're
right.
going to try to
I'm looking forward to that, man.
unpack a little bit of this and tell everybody, relax a little bit. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers on you.
Yes, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
You gonna spell it out for the people?
I'm
and
going to
all that
spell
kind
it
of stuff?
out. Yeah.
All right, there you go. So we all get to Harsh Knock Life coming up next segment. I want to talk about the All-Star game a little bit. I guess we can start with the dunk competition because we got some sound that we're gonna play, and we'll probably get into a discussion that is probably it doesn't even need to be had about the All-Star game. But there was a comment made about the All-Star game that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. But first, Mac McClung winning the dunk competition. White men can jump,
Hey.
and they can do it very well. As a matter of fact, they can win the dunk competition. The Big 12 love there also because from a Red Raider, actually, I guess Chris Beard guy, right?
Uh-huh.
Was he?
Yep.
At one point?
He's the one that shot that shot in front of Patrick and kind of looked at him when the game was over.
The one shot during COVID.
Yeah.
He gave Patrick the stink eye?
Yeah, because he gave it to everybody that
He
was
gave,
on
it,
that
he,
side.
gave,
okay.
he gave it to everyone that was in the arena,
Yeah.
which was like
About
35
5 of
people
us.
because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? He might have gave that same stink eye. Not stink eye, the stank eye
Yeah,
when he
no
had
doubt.
some during the dunk competition. I gotta tell you, he did a great job in dunk competition. I really
unbelievable.
was. I mean, I'm watching him right now, actually, behind you on the television screen.
He was a YouTube sensation. Remember, he was one of those guys. This dude was the star at Georgetown Hoyas for the Georgetown Hoyas before he went to Texas Tech. That's how cold he was coming out of high school. They went and got him, and he went and played for the Georgetown Hoyas. They loved that guy.
pretty awesome. Yeah. No, it is. It's legit,
Yeah.
and he's a G leaguer.
Yep.
Which I think helps because the G leaguers want it more.
Yep.
The guys in the NBA, we'll play some sound. Oh, but do we have the Ja Morant sound, Patrick,
Yes.
really quickly? Because, man, Ja Morant was asked about, because we were speculating. I think we had the thought experiment on the show a couple of weeks back. Not a couple of weeks, maybe last week, actually, just talking about the dunk contest. And, and I blame LeBron, not entirely, but LeBron's got a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of responsibility.
Correct.
In the
You wanted to be
lack-
the face, you got to be able to do
yeah,
it. You know?
and kind of the lack of sizzle for the dunk competition. It's no longer a rite of passage for the superstars of the NBA, and I think he was one of the first superstars to decline it and never decide to do it. Here's Ja Morant when they asked him about it, because Ja Morant's one of those guys I think we all mentioned and said, "Oh yeah, I could see him in the dunk competition,
for
and it would
sure.
be awesome." Here's Ja Morant at the All-Star game being asked about it. You should saw
just
his
left
face.
it. Yeah,
he
he's
was
like,
like,
no.
"Dude, I'm not doing the dunk contest," almost mocking it. So, but in that case,
But don't you win money for winning the dunk
Well,
contest?
you win,
Not
you
for
win
them.
No, you win $100,000 for Mac McClung. Great payday.
Exactly.
Right.
For anyone else on there, I mean, I'm guessing a couple of those good, like Jericho Sims, that's probably a good payday.
Right.
Like some of those guys that are doing it, it's a better payday because they're making around $1 million, $2 million.
Right.
So that's a good chunk. But if you're a John Morant and you were making $30 million or $20 million, that $100,000 means a little bit less, especially
Agreed.
when you're like, all right, now I got to take time out of my day to
Donate to
practice.
the kids, man.
Well, no, but you got to take your time out of the day to practice. That's the problem is
There's an injury
they don't-
concern.
They don't want to take the time to be like, I got to work through all these dunks. But you know what Mac McClung did? which all these guys should take a big lesson from, he did more in-game-ish dunks.
Right.
So dunks that aren't, hey, man, I got 14 props, and we're going to do this, and we're going to set it up, and then I'm going to do it. And you're like, dude, just do a cool dunk that we can all go, we all get what that was. It'll look good in slow-mo. But when you do all the props and you're like, everything has to go perfect, and then if you don't do a cool dunk on top of it, you're like, well, anyone who could dunk to do that.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know exactly what it takes to bring the dunk contest back, but I'm glad to see people in the dunk contest who it means a lot to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And it used to mean a lot to superstars because they saw it as a rite of passage. It no longer means that to them, and I get it. So G Leaguers like Mac McClung, let him in there, give him a shot. He did a great job. It's basically a really good movie with no A-list celebrities in it. And you know what? I've seen some of those. There's a ton of them.
Excellent.
Ton of them on Netflix right now.
Right.
All right. No A-list celebrity. You're like, I don't know who the hell's in this movie, but that was a damn good movie.
Right.
That's basically what the dunk contest has become. It's still pretty good. It's just no celebrity, no star power.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the one thing that we're trying to figure out. If you start getting all these kids involved, like my son, for example, he's a 14-year-old basketball player. All of his friends. He was excited about the dunk contest this year. Jericho Sims was in it, former UT player. He already knew who Mac McClung was because, number one, he's been following him on YouTube. He knew he went to Georgetown. He knew he went to Texas Tech. So he wanted to see him in the dunk contest because he knew he could dunk. But it was a matter of executing it during the games, right? And going back to what Ja is, I guarantee you that if Zion Williamson was healthy, he would have been in the dunk contest because he likes that type of stuff.
He said something to that regard, I think.
He's an explosive type of player that got crazy.
So Zion's never going to be in the dunk contest?
He's never going to be able to be in it because he can't stay healthy.
healthy.
But I wish he would have because that, again, he was that person. He was a YouTube sensation when he was growing up because he was that much more athletic than everybody. I think Ja should be in a dunk contest because what does he try to do every game? He tries to put somebody on a poster. He comes down the lane. He's doing just like last night in the All-Star game. They're coming down and doing all these tricks. LeBron's throwing it off the backboard. Jason Tatum. Everybody was dunking. That's the frustrating part for those that really want to watch some elite guys do some dunks.
Yeah, they want to dunk, but they don't want to compete.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
Like
No,
MJ,
I get it.
MJ wanted to dunk, but he also wanted to compete. So he's like, yeah, I want to dunk.
Because
but
he's the ultimate competitor.
Exactly, he's the ultimate competitor. These guys, I'm not saying they're not competitors.
No, I know what you mean.
But for MJ, the guy, he's got a competitive sickness, as I call it. It is a sickness for the man. So
if he could have got into it on Saturday, he would have
got on that jump. He'd been up there, old man style. But to your point, Hard, Zion Williamson has said that he's keeping consideration open, or his options open for the 2024 dunk contest. I'm sure injury is probably the biggest issue with him, and whether it's something that may help him or hurt him in terms of his durability. But I think that the NBA at this point with the dunk contest, their only hope to try to bring it back to its glory days is they need a really one of their superstar players to essentially decide it means something to them.
Right.
And as long as it doesn't, then like I said, it'll be what SNL is right now. It'll be still really good, but none of the star power of the SNL, the glory days of the 80s and the 70s and those types.
No, I think one of the things they did well in this one too was shorten it up a little bit.
That's true.
Because it used to be so long.
Oh, for goodness.
Like it was 45 minutes or so where you're just sitting there like, all right, we missed another one. All right.
That's the other
now
thing,
they're
too.
pulling the car up, and now there was so much moving parts. At this one, you're like, look, there's 2 rounds. There are 2 dunks per round.
That's it.
You got a minute and 20 seconds or whatever it is to hit your dunk, hit it, and get out. And we can just move it along, and we're not gonna do a concert in the middle. We're not gonna just get through it, so we can go. Oh man, that was cool. But if you make the move, it's like in comedy, they call it jokes per minute. You got to keep telling jokes because otherwise, if you're trying to make you're like, the punchline at the end will be great. But if it's 4 minutes, you've lost everybody before the 4th minute, right?
I forgot about it. Yeah.
That's how it is in the dunk. You're like, if you wait too long between these dunks, then every dunk has to be a 50. But if you put 345s pretty close to each other, then that's, oh man, we're getting a show now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because Mac McClung, one thing that helped him, he did a great job, but he made all of his first
That's
dunks.
what I was just about to
It
say.
really did help him.
That's exactly it.
It's something about, I don't know, it's something dissatisfying, and when they missed the first dunk, he's like, oh, that was cool, but I missed the dunk.
And the degree of difficulty on his dunks were outstanding.
He really was.
But the fact, I told my son, I said, look, man, the reason why he was so good and it was so cool to see is because everything was quick twitch. Everything that he did, he exploded up, hit the ball off the backboard, and dunked it quick. He did that 520 or whatever it was that he did where he dunked it. Then he did another one where he reversed it. I was like, and they were quick. They looked explosive. Not saying Dominique Wilkins type, but they were quick, explosive dunks that was like, I can't believe he just did that.
Yeah.
He jumped over two people and hit the ball off the backboard and still dunked it. You know how difficult that is?
Yeah.
Because you're worried about hitting somebody.
Yeah, Mac McClung should definitely be in White Men Can't Jump instead of
should-
Jack Harlow.
Yes.
I think Jack Harlow needs to give up that role and give it to Mac McClung
I will say he did do the best intro for Post Malone. The next night he comes out and they're like, the winner of the same dunk contest. And he comes out and he's like, guys, you have been a great city. It is really fun being here. Post Malone. Like, man, a little energy. Come on, man.
Post Malone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
love
okay. All right. So the dunk contest. I mean,
I will say a texter has said they should do a skills competition or like a fundamental skills. They do.
They do.
They did a skills competition.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal this year, especially the shooting part when no one could hit a shot.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Oh, my gosh.
Were they asking him to hit mid-range shots?
Yeah,
No, they
see,
had
the
to,
lost
no,
art.
the rookies, the only shot they hit was the one-pointer that's like from like 6 feet away.
Oh, no.
They hit
Not
three
the
of them.
threes either?
No, they missed every single shot except for 3 of the 6-footers that they had to start taking at the end because they were going to have 0 points.
Wow. Rod B can do that. Matter of fact, I've done that actually in the Irwin Center, I believe, with the Harlem Globetrotters. So,
Did you?
yes, I
Love
believe
it.
I missed all of them except the one that was like a layup. And embarrassed myself. So there you go. Let's talk about the All-Star game itself, gentlemen. A 184-175 win for Team Giannis. They beat Team LeBron. I believe it was Team LeBron's first loss.
It was. It was Giannis' first win.
Oh, Giannis' first win.
Yeah,
There you go.
yep.
Jason Tatum, unbelievable game, gentlemen. 55 points, 1 MVP. I love this little factoid. First player to score 50-plus in a regular season game, All-Star game, and a playoff game.
Yeah.
That is a nice little nugget to have on your resume. It was a great – I mean, Donovan Mitchell scored 40 points. Dame Lillard, I mean, he won – by the way, Dame Lillard won a three-point contest.
Yeah,
Forgot to mention that.
Also,
as well.
Dame, like, he was the most fun to watch in the All-Star game because he would just pull up from wherever he wanted.
Casually.
And everyone else was shooting those, and they're, like, kind of chunking them at the basket.
Bro.
He's
Comfortable.
shooting those.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
Not, his face don't even look like he's, like, if I try and shoot an NBA range three, I can shoot college threes all day. If you go back to NBA range, I'm like, oh, I got to put a lot of leg into this.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not used to shooting them because I never played at that level.
No,
Right.
he is. He had
But
8
that guy can
three-pointers.
sit at half court and just shoot them like I shoot a college three, and that's crazy.
I agree with you on that. It is one of the and you're talking about an NBA league of freaks. They're all
Yeah.
freaks to a certain extent. It's one of the freakier things to watch him comfortably shoot for almost half court.
Yeah, it's so easy, man.
Not heave it to.
I mean, he
No.
sunk like 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Like just walked down and hit him, and then came back down the other side of the court and hit it. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. No, it is. It's really, really fun to watch. And LeBron left with an injury.
So he
did
at
understand something.
halftime, they came out and they were like, yeah, you hurt his hand. So he was
Yeah.
out second half. Giannis came in.
At the
It
very
was-
beginning for the tip.
Yeah,
and that's
because
it.
he was hurt, so he missed out on the skills competition on Saturday night. They had Drew Holiday fill in for him. And then, he basically came in to start the game, hit a shot, and then came out because he had an injury, which it makes his team is like, you're not going to get more hurt.
Yeah.
We're trying to win a
Right.
championship.
Agreed. No, I'm with you on that. Okay, so Kyrie Irving also had a great game. 32
did.
points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds. Most points ever scored in an All-Star game by a Dallas Maverick. How about that? Little
Yep.
random factoid there for Kyrie
So we know
Irving.
what
Brand
Luka's got to
new.
do next year.
Yeah, exactly. Brand new Dallas Mavericks.
Brand new Dallas Maverick. There you go. Okay.
Which, fun fact, he did that as an Eastern Conference All-Star.
Yep.
Oh,
That's right.
Yes, he
That's
got
a
in on
really
these.
freaky stat,
Yes.
actually. Yeah, you'll never get that one. You put in the Eastern Conference All-Star thing. That'd be
Yeah.
rough. Okay, let's get to this sound because I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it's going to lead to – I hope it leads to an interesting conversation. So Mike Malone, he actually ended up – for those who don't know, he was coach of Team LeBron. Which ended up losing a game, and he's the Denver Nuggets head coach. He spoke to the media afterwards and was asked about the game. I thought his comments were very interesting. Here they are. All right, Kendrick Perkins disagreed with Coach Malone and said, quote, I think Mike Malone is just a hater because that was entertaining as hell. All right, gentlemen, what side do you stand on? Entertaining as hell or worst basketball game ever or somewhere in between? Are you a moderate?
I'm going to say I'm a moderate. And the reason being is because you do get to see some of the skill level of some of these guys, like we were talking about with the dunks, the long-range shooting. But you do want to see some people kind of compete. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just let everything just happen. Okay, if you shoot it and we miss, then we're in transition. But if you make it, great shot. No, compete a little bit. Play a little bit harder. I'm not telling you to go out there and try to hurt yourself, but come on, man. This was kind of ridiculous. And then it's also one of those things. We know it's an all-star game. Let's just say this. You remember when Pete Rose ran over somebody at the all-star game? Pete Rose, because he wanted to win that bad.
Remember was it Jason Taylor at the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, Jason Taylor knocked somebody out. You know what I'm saying? There's some times where you're like, that goes back to what you said about MJ. It was that competitive sickness.
Yeah, he ain't
some
playing.
guys have it, some guys don't. Some are there for the party, some are not. But listen, it's a tough conversation every single day with the kids about don't take that shot. Don't take that shot. That's not the shot that you can. Man, I just saw them make it from three-quarter courts. I know I got that kind of range. I'm like, you're talking about like how Patrick is. You heaving the ball. That's not a shot. I want you working on the shot. But I really do believe that I understand the entertainment value, but I also thought that they should have played harder. There's money that is being exchanged during it for each quarter. They go to different charities and things like that. But I at least compete a little bit. Just give me a little bit.
Yeah, they tried to do, and this is the worst year of it. By the second half, I think it was Team LeBron just gave up.
Yeah.
And they refused to try at all, and so Team Giannis just walked away with it. Because the fourth quarter had been fun the last few years.
Yes.
Because they had all buckled down because it was kind of close, and they buckled down. And you could even tell some of the guys on Team Giannis were trying to let Team LeBron back into it to make it a game because they got it. And they were like, oh, yeah, but we're supposed to play in the fourth quarter. Like, we got it. We all give up the three quarters, but y'all are not even picking up in the fourth. I mean, there's a couple of things that they need to fix. First of all, Draymond Green can no longer be an announcer on any of this stuff. He's the worst, unwatchable, ruined Saturday, and I had to turn over to TNT on Sunday because I cannot stand this guy pretending like he is a Hall of Famer. And I mean, you are in the NBA a Hall of Famer because everyone's a Hall of Famer in the NBA. But I like the fact that he walked out and literally said, they were like, so is this hard for you to like, because you're still playing, and then you're going to have to talk to all like people that you didn't make the team this year. And he's like, none of them can hang with me except for LeBron because, you know, he's the only one with 4 rings. I'm like, dude, you're worse than everyone on that court. Every single one of them you're worse than. Your team has talked about trading you for, like, giving away a pick to trade you.
Right.
Stop talking like that. No one wants to hear that as a broadcast.
Yeah.
So, and then him with Shaq was just, all they did was just be like, well, Charles, how many did you go? He goes, I went to 11 games, won an MVP. And they're like, what a loser. Guys, I think you're missing your audience here. So that was terrible. But I think you need to maybe get comedians and trash talk these players the entire game until they start playing.
You want to heckle them?
Yes, I want to take it back to street ball and get some boys on the side to heckle them.
That is
Mic 'em up,
great.
because if you
give
go,
him a
hey, man,
microphone, just like heckle him.
yeah, tell that guy he's a better player than you until you prove me wrong.
Give him a megaphone.
Yeah.
They just gotta yell.
That is a good idea. I like that.
It's interesting
Because you want to bring out they are competitive. But
They are competitive.
in today's world, if I go on social media and me and you, our three of us are supposed to have a competition, and then we go on social media and everybody tells us how much that we all suck for doing it, and we're like, screw these people. What am I doing it for these people for? They're all being jerks.
Yeah.
And they're going on there and they think we don't play hard enough. They want me to go get hurt in an all-star game. And the reality is, we just want you to play a little bit harder, a little bit more defense, instead of just literally standing for half the game. We want you to do, not even go back to the early 90s, but like late 90s.
No, I honestly, Patrick, I know you're half joking, half serious.
Oh, no, I'm serious.
But I think your idea is pretty brilliant, actually, because the NBA is the most social media savvy of all the pro sports leagues. You literally can have fans sending you tweets of what they want these celebs to say around the court and reading the mean tweets like Jimmy Kimmel does.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And you just reading mean tweets of fans. Then everybody's just sitting around, oh, man, I hate this dude, but let me send a mean tweet about this guy. And they can sit there, and then
love the
NBA needs to
mean
sort
tweets.
through it, obviously, because you'll send a lot of homophobic, racist, and all kind of stuff. But still, you sort through it. And it might have been a great idea. I know it sounds crazy, but
if you put Kevin
I'm
Hart
with you.
and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock on the sideline
And just give 'em a megaphone.
and just sit there, the three of them, talking about how bad this is and how awful these players are.
man.
And boy, back in my day, those players eventually would start to take it personally.
I love that idea. I'm telling you, I think it's a brilliant idea. It's a WWE element. I said the same thing when people got mad at Tiger Woods for giving the tampon. Was it Justin Thomas,
his partner?
Oh man, I said that was great. So I guess instead of a tampon, he should have gave him a low T pamphlet or something these days. I guess that would have been more politically correct.
I like
man.
that. Low
You know,
T,
the low
yeah.
T. You can't get over if you give him the low T pamphlet. Now you got that low
No,
T, man.
people with low T are gonna be offended.
That's why they're gonna be a little sensitive to the subject.
They're gonna be. I mean, people with low T are just naturally more sensitive. So, I mean,
Well, didn't everybody end up with low T at one point?
think so.
Isn't it inevitable that we're all going to have low T at one point?
Yep.
But anyway, I love your idea, Patrick. I think, honestly, you need to send that to Adam Silver today. It's a brilliant idea. Because, honestly, the truth is, we're watching this happen across all sports with all their all-star games. People just don't care enough about them. And the players don't care enough about them, whether it be in the NFL, whether that be now we're looking at the NBA, their
Right.
All-Star games. I don't watch a lot of hockey, so I'm really not talking about hockey. I apologize if hockey's the case. Hit me up with the hockey stuff. But Major League Baseball, they've tried to incentivize Major League Baseball's All-Star game a little bit. And the truth is, I believe that these All-Star games and all these major leagues, they're just one of those things in society that are becoming more of a burden than a benefit. Not its fault. It's just society's just evolving past them with these players with these multi-million-dollar contracts. They're just not interested in this exhibition game. And much like the penny, which costs more to make than it's actually worth, and much like the yellow pages and payphones, I just think it's more of a burden than it is a benefit to society. And I think these ratings will continue to drop and drop. That's why the NFL's just given up on the damn thing and said, you know what, screw it, because they're just the worst because of the nature of football.
Yeah.
But they're all bad.
But
They're all bad.
But if you
Yes.
watch that game, like Jalen Hurts and or Jalen Brown and
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum, when they went at it, at
They
the end of the-
did. That was fun.
That was fun because you were like, look, it's still lighthearted, and you're not actually going at each other.
Yeah.
But we got to see two teams, and so that was fun, right?
Yeah, the one-on-one.
And
Yeah,
so
that'd be
you're
cool.
like, that could have been done throughout the game. And back in the day, it was Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson did it.
I love it.
When Magic came in, and it was huge. And then,
MJ and Kobe did it once. I love that stuff.
But that's like those things, and you're like, cool, do that more in the game.
Yeah.
Just light it up and go. If no one wants to play,
go one-on-ones.
let them have one-on-ones.
Yeah, just everybody just back up. Let's
Yeah,
go one-on-one. That would be
have
fun.
those, but set
Yeah.
them up before the game and have it. But just there's things you can do, and this is why the Malone tweet bothered me, or the Malone comment bothered me. Like, you're the guy who's supposed to help do this. Like, the coaches are the one. Greg Popovich was a decent coach there because he got that it was supposed to be fun, but he's also a type of guy that can go, no, do you suck? Like, I thought you were a man. Go
Yeah.
play. Like you want me like the WNBA All-Star game is better than this, and it is because they care.
Give you a low T pamphlet.
No, but you're like you'll sit there and he'll just make like he would be able to make fun of you enough and get on you enough.
Is it fair that he's considered a made man and he's
No, it
Mount
is.
Rushmore?
No,
So
I get
when
it.
Pop says something to you, you take it. Mike Malone said something to a superstar player in a player-led league.
Yeah.
He's not used to talking to those guys like that because it's a player-led league.
But that's why Pop is Pop.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he's always been that guy, and then he just won some championships, so he gets away with it now.
Yeah,
But I mean, like he's always been that guy.
that's true. He has been a all crotchety old guy.
Yeah, and so you're like, and I get like you have a first-year head coach in Boston, so that's a harder thing to do. But all you gotta do is little stuff and be like, oh, so we ain't playing today. I just want to make sure like y'all don't want to play at all, and then I'd start benching people. Hey, rotate him out. Hey man, you stood on that free throw line for 3 possessions. Come out then.
Yeah.
I don't need. Where's Mac McClung? Put him in the game in jeans.
Oh yeah,
Someone
you
who
already know.
cares.
Yeah.
No, you. I mean,
What are they gonna do? Stop the game?
I think you're right on with your point about Pop. I just wonder if it's only like a few coaches in the NBA that would have that effect if they got on guys and they go, damn, I don't want Pop looking at me like that. That's Pop. That's a goat.
yeah.
I don't want a goat
It
looking at me
definitely
like
has
that.
to be somebody
Yeah,
that's
you know what I
well
mean?
respected.
Yeah, it's like that kind of thing. All right, good stuff there. All right, what you got coming up on Harsh Knock Life?
We're going to talk a little bit about Texas baseball. I'm going to talk about them, and I'm also going to talk about TCU and Oklahoma State as well.
All right. Hopefully, we got some good news in there about
There
Texas
is.
baseball.
There will be.
Don't press the panic button. We gave it to Hard. So if,
That's right.
if anybody's gonna press it, it'll be him. It'll be a weird sound.
It'll
today.
sound like this.
All right. All that more right here. Coming up next, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9.
I know it's been a while, but I want to talk to you a little bit about my friends over at Quick Roofing. How often do you look at your roof? I know you don't actually get on your roof. That's why you need to go ahead and contact Quick Roofing today. Go quickroofing.com. They can come out and give you a free, no obligation inspection. And if you decide that that's what you want to do, they give you a 7-year workmanship warranty. Quick Roofing is fully insured and has all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. Quick Roofing also requires that a project manager is on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. I know those decisions are tough, but go ahead and reach out today and get them that free inspection. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com. Welcome back to a smooth Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And you can follow my man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And this past weekend, I had the opportunity to go up to Arlington and be a part of the telecast for the Higginbotham College Baseball Showdown at Globe Life Field. And during my time there, obviously, I got a chance to call all of the Texas Longhorns baseball games on Flow TV. I want to thank them for letting me. Flow TV did a great job and let us be a part of that. But during that time there, I tried to be such a professional during these games. Obviously, I'm a big baseball fan. I'm a former professional baseball player, so I pay attention to baseball a little bit different than maybe the average fan that goes to these games. So there are some things that I noticed during this time that I'm always trying to figure out. And I know that everybody's going to look at the 0-3 start at the tournament this weekend and try to make more of it than what it is. But I'm going to try to be a little bit more optimistic with some of these young kids. And I say that they're young kids because that's exactly what they are. At one point in every single game, he had 3 true freshmen, starting, whether it was at the DH position, third base, or first base. They had 3 freshmen starting. And then on Sunday, the entire infield, except for Cam Constantine, who finally got a chance to play. The shortstop was a freshman. The second baseman was a freshman. And then you also had a freshman at the DH position. So it's going to be a lot of growing pains at the very beginning because we know it's been You had Trey Faltini. You had Skylar Messenger, and before that, you had Murph Staley, and then you had Cam Williams. You had names there playing all these different positions where you were comfortable with it. Yep. Douglas Hodo in center field, tracking everything down. Austin Todd, who probably has his master's by now from the time that he spent at the University of Texas. And then you got Dylan Campbell and Eric Kennedy at the top of the order. Well, then you bring in a grad transfer at Porter Brown from TCU. You got Garrett Gilmet, who is coming in from USC. You got Jack O'Dowd, who originally transferred here from Nashville, from Vanderbilt. And then you start bringing in all these different types of pitchers and players. So it's a different group. But one thing that's not being talked about with this particular group, yes, they are young. But you also had an overhaul on your coaching staff.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different things, and everybody's trying to understand what Coach Pierce wants and implementation and what's going on and how the program is run, and everybody's trying to feel that. But this, again, you had a huge turnover when you just came back from the College World Series. 2 years. 2 years, and so the expectations for the University of Texas, and you know this, Rob, from football, the expectations are always going to be high. Yep. The expectations are what they are. It's the standard. College World Series. That's what it is for baseball. That's why when I was being recruited way back in the day, that is why I wanted to come here, because I wanted the opportunity to play in Omaha. Now, I'm not saying that this team is not going to have that opportunity. I'm not saying that they are. But we have to – I'm not going to lower our standards or what our expectations are. I'm just saying be careful what you expect from this team, because either way, you might either be happy or disappointed or both. You're going to go through all the ebbs and flow of a baseball season, because there's a lot that is going to be going on. So if you look at what happened this weekend – they played in front of 15,000 on Friday night against Arkansas, a team that also had a big-time replacement, but they have some experience. They brought in their transfer portal, impactful players that came in and did their job. But Texas only lost that game 3-2. So Texas was still in that game. And the ground ball that was hit, it was a sharply hit ground ball to third base. I guarantee you in a couple weeks, in a couple months, Flores is going to make that play. it was a hot shot, but it was a position that he's not used to playing. He's a shortstop by nature, and the ball got up on him a lot faster than what he was used to, what he was accustomed to. It was a left-handed hitter hitting the ball the other way, shot it through him, and he didn't make the play. But I guarantee you he's going to make that play. Fast forward to Sunday, those ground balls that were hit to Jaden Duplantier, the ground ball that was hit to O'Hara as shortstop, and to be honest with you, they could have had another error to the third baseman, Tanner Carlson, if they didn't come down on the bag. It was originally going to be an error. They reviewed it right away. They got the call right. Ended up not being an error. Got a play there. But it could have been a lot worse. Mm-hmm. So there's some things that got away from this team this past weekend because the 8 runs in the second inning on Sunday shouldn't have happened because all those 8 runs were unearned.
That's crazy.
You had a guy come up with the bases loaded, hit a grand slam who hadn't hit a home run in 2 years. So there are some things that happened. So I'm not going to say that this team won't be able to play at a very high level in the Big 12. The Big 12 is going to be very competitive. TCU has got a good group of guys that are there. They've got some impactful players that stepped in as soon as they got to the transfer portal. That is going to be something to pay attention to. The bullpen had their moments for Texas. The starting pitching, Lucas Gordon was great on Friday. Zane Morehouse, he needs to be sharper, and there's a lot is expected for him. And Travis Staley, I don't think he pitched bad. They just didn't make plays behind him. So there are some things that you can be positive about once they get back to the dish, and that starts tomorrow night. But some of the things, too, Texas has to put the ball in play. When they lost that game to Missouri on Saturday, Missouri was bunting and running. They were drag bunting. They were sacrifice bunting. They were hitting and running. They were doing the small ball things, the things that a young team wasn't ready to make plays for. So once again, they got back. They get back to work. They get a chance to be home. It's a sellout crowd here at Disch Falk Field. Season tickets were already sold out, so it's going to be the friendly confines as opposed to being booed and heckled and screamed at by the opposing fans, and it will be a different light. They've been used to practicing on AstroTurf the entire year, entire offseason. That's all they've been doing. Then they get a chance to go and play on a dirt field, and it's a little bit different. Ball bounces a little bit differently. So they will be able to make it through these adjustment periods. So I'm not just going to sit here and say, oh, man, this team is bad, this is that, this is – remember 2 years ago when they went up to Arlington? They struck out a lot during that time. I was like, what is going on? They got a chance to face some power arms, and that's exactly what they got to see again this weekend. So for me, Texas, who, by the way, in the game against Arkansas, they left 4 players on base, but they struck out 13 times. Against Missouri, they left 10 players on base and struck out 10 times. Against Vanderbilt, they struck out 12 times and left 5 runners on base. Situationally, they weren't very good. The top of their lineup, Dylan Campbell, didn't have a great weekend. Eric Kennedy had a couple moments. Porter Brown didn't have a great weekend. So there's going to be some things that this team will get better with at bats. This team will get better with repetition of playing high-quality games, because don't forget, they play 3 games on the weekend. They play 1 to 2 games midweek. They're going to get better playing time. They're going to get more reps. They're going to have those opportunities. But I do want to give you some names that I think you truly should be paying attention to, because they're going to be here for a while. Some of the young players that I mentioned, Jalen Flores at third base. He's from San Antonio. He's a talented guy. His bat will be powerful here at the university. He's going to play some good defense because he's got a good glove. Just let it happen. Jaden Duplantier, second baseman. He is a talented guy, can run a little bit. And actually in that game against Missouri, it was an unfortunate situation. He got a double in the gap. Bases were loaded. He's got a double in the gap. And because the ball in the area in which he hit it, if he would have hit it 2 feet to the left, it wouldn't have been a ground rule double because it went 2 feet to the right. It bounced up into the bullpen because it was a lower level part of the field, and so instead of being able to score all 3 runs, they only scored the 2 runs. And I told my broadcast partner at that point, I said, bookmark this because this is going to be a part in the game that is going to come back to them. If he clears the bases, it's a whole different type of inning. But instead, they left them both on there, and they didn't get ever doing. So then you start looking at Jared Thomas, the big first baseman from Waxahachie. Shout out to Jad. You got to chat to Chad. This guy's got some sock in his bat, and he's a very confident player. I got a chance to talk with him in the elevator. Bright young man and really excited about baseball.
Nice.
And another name to pay attention to, he's another young guy, Ryan Galvan. He's from Sinton, where Alan Alaniz, or what's his name? Is his name Alan? No, it's not Alan. Adrian Alaniz, who used to pitch for Texas. He's the head coach there, won state championship, another talented guy. Pay attention to DJ Burke, Chris Stewart, and Hudson Toll, and also Chase Loomis. He looked good the other day, a lefty that's been here for a little bit. He's done a really good job. He's been injured throughout a couple seasons. He had a good outing. So there is some hope. There is some optimism. I know we got a texter that say, yeah, I don't feel any better, Harge. It's okay. I promise you. Just let the games happen. But I think the biggest understatement of all of this is the turnover that happened within the organization, within the club, where you've gotten different guys and different voices that the comfort level and trying to still learn each other on the coaching staff, the do's, the don'ts, the hows, the whys, you're still trying to figure that out as well. So I like Woody. I like Steve Rodriguez. I think they're going to be great guys. I just don't know where this is as far as the conversations and everything else that goes into it. But I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we all.
I'm not going to say they're going to be at the top, but I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, well, being competitive in the conference, is that where they?
That's what you need to be.
That's
what you need to be. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to get some growing pains. You're going to have some time.
'Cause
Like
they're a young
tomorrow.
team.
Tomorrow, this Texas A&M Corpus Christi team, they can swing it. They got some talent. I know Scott. I know the head coach Scott. He was a very hard-nosed competitor, and they're not coming up in here just to get a check. They're coming in here to play and to win. And then you got this weekend series that's going to be happening too. And then you can't forget about what happened in San Marcos. So that's the other part too. San Marcos, Texas State is on the rise. They got to play those guys too.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of angst heading into this. But again, it's baseball, man. Anything can happen during that time. You can go out there. And remember, they won 11 straight games at the beginning of the year last year and got to Omaha and got barbecued. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much that goes into it. This weekend they play Indiana. Next Tuesday, the following Tuesday, they play LSU, and then they travel out to Cal State Fullerton. So they're going to have some challenges here coming up that they're, like I said earlier, they're going to have to grow up and grow up fast.
They got time to get right before conference play, though.
No doubt.
So they, I think.
The challenges are now, though.
Yeah. Got to have some urgency about it. All right, Hard Knock Life, they're breaking it down. He'll have plenty more breakdown about Texas baseball. As a matter of fact, we'll talk about that again in the 5 o'clock when we talk Texas basketball. We come back. We got off the record on the other side. We'll dive into some of the other kind of pop culture topics we may have missed. Right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It's time for another Off the Record, and I guess we're just going to talk about this because it's not really, I mean, it is a story, but not a lot of details, not as much as you would think, considering what a high-profile incident it was. Did you guys hear over the weekend about the street racers that took over?
Yeah, I saw the videos.
South Austin? That was crazy. So for those who hadn't been keeping up, basically multiple 911 calls were received Saturday around 9 p.m. about cars and a crowd causing mayhem. And I believe it was like right up there, like with Barton Springs, like the Barton Springs.
Yeah, that intersection right there.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it was so strategic and it was so well organized. Basically, they blocked off the intersection, and several police vehicles were damaged after unruly, spectators began throwing fireworks and bottle rockets, pointing lasers at their officers who responded to the incident because essentially they were blocking off an intersection. Like they just blocked it off. I don't even know how this was so well organized, but it really was well organized. Police arrested 2 people for evading arrest and are still investigating the incident. One officer sustained a non-life-threatening injury, but was treated at a local hospital and was released, so he was okay. Thank God. APD, they say, is committed to stopping this conduct. Law-breaking in this manner will result in enforcement and arrest. But, yeah, the videos that I'm sure we all saw, man, it was unbelievable. Like, it was jaw-dropping to see. They just shut down the intersection, and the police were somewhat helpless. They really couldn't do anything.
Right.
I don't think they wanted to really use extreme force with this group. So I think they were just trying to avoid that kind of situation. But, yeah, man, talk about unruly. It was straight up Fast and the Furious stuff going on.
Yeah.
And they've done this before in different cities around the country, so it's not some brand new idea. We just haven't seen it in Austin very often.
Well, somebody just sent this. I'm not going to put his name out there, but it says it's getting bad guys. It took place at 2 different locations, perfectly planned.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It did. It looked like it was extremely well organized, and because it's like that's like how flash mobs and stuff. There has to be social media, like a social media evidence or a social media trail, if you will, of breadcrumbs of this happening, because you can't get that many people organized without social media.
Without somebody, yeah.
I mean, you need social media to do it. So I don't know what they use on social media to do it, but they definitely got social media people.
Yeah.
Like, they have social media, I should say, enthusiasts involved with this kind of stuff. And I wonder that's how you can track them.
Yeah.
But they got to have license plates, right? Did they black out all their license plates while they were there? I'm talking about all the cars that were blocking everything, too.
No doubt.
Did everybody just have their license plates blocked out?
I have no idea.
Man, it's interesting. I don't know. Man, was Vin Diesel out there? The
No,
Rock?
he was at the All-Star game.
Was the Rock? Oh, Vin Diesel was the okay.
No, he was at the All-Star game giving really weird speeches.
No, he actually was there, though?
Vin Diesel
there.
was.
No, he
Vin
came
Diesel
out and
was.
gave a really weird speech.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Why
if you have
Vin
not seen
Diesel
it,
giving speeches at the All-Star
it's so
game?
good to be here in Utah for the NBA
Like what?
All-Star game.
What reason? What connection does he have to the?
Yeah,
He had
they
a
have a
movie
new
coming
movie
out.
yeah, they movie coming
the
out.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
movie?
that's the new Fast and Furious. But yeah, no, it was awful.
They were like promoting like 4 movies then.
Yeah.
'Cause I saw Ben Affleck was there promoting his movie, the new Jordan movie. He was hanging out with Chris Tucker, I think.
Yeah.
Hanging out. Yeah,
I saw that.
I still
All-Star Game's a
don't
big
get that
promotional
Jordan
marketing
movie.
campaign. Why
Still
not?
don't get it.
Why not?
Because nothing about what Michael Jordan. I never thought I'd ever want to see a movie about the business end of Michael Jordan. Don't care. Great basketball player. Could care less about why you signed a shoe deal. I get the concept.
I think it was
if
more
it was
about
a 10-minute
Sonny
if it was a
Vaccaro.
10-minute YouTube video, I might check it out. An hour and a half feature film, I'm out. That's okay. I don't need to see the business side of 5 white guys being like, man, we really changed the game, didn't we? Man, hey guys, we really changed the game of basketball, didn't we?
Okay, that's a good point. You're right about that because was it supposed to be groundbreaking because nobody had a shoe built around one athlete before? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's the Jordan brand, and it became
Like it became like
yeah,
they
like
said
it
we're gonna
helped
build it
save
around
Nike.
one guy.
Like it is, but it's a business deal. Like it's all business deals.
It is, but yeah, I think it might be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to watching it actually. I know. You probably don't. You're an NBA guy, so you don't want to.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
'Cause
basketball.
Yeah, exactly. You want to watch the extra. No. We the rest of us need the drama, the salacious gossip surrounding the NBA. Patrick does not need that. He watches summer league basketball, so he actually wants to watch the games.
I'll watch old MJ games while y'all watch that.
Exactly.
It'd be much more fun for me.
You're right. Yeah, you're right about that. But I think it might be pretty interesting. But you're right. It is just about a business deal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an hour and a half movie about something that actually probably took about 15 to 20
I will
minutes
tell you,
to
this
get.
is what the only thing I can think is that there's gonna be like a Michael Jordan cameo, and they're hiding who it's gonna be or something to make that the big reveal on opening weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's not in any of the advertising; it's just his parents.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think
true.
there's gonna be a thing of like they got that guy to do MJ. Like I think they're gonna try and be their marketing plan.
That's true because I don't want. They haven't revealed who's
I
playing.
don't think
MJ.
he's
Well,
in the
Mike-
movie really.
Yeah, that's a good point. They just had something recently, and I forgot they had a guy playing MJ in some manner. I watched something, I can't remember what it was, but it's hard to find somebody to play MJ, period.
You're just gonna get Michael Jordan.
You get a bald black
Right.
guy.
If you get Michael B. Jordan, you can get Michael Jordan to play
no,
Michael Jordan. He doesn't
Michael-
look anything like him,
Michael-
but it'll be hilarious for a cameo because Michael Jordan playing Michael Jordan.
I mean, like he's way too good looking to play Michael Jordan.
You
He's
mentioned-
also much older than what Michael Jordan would be in this movie.
That is very true, and more swoller than Michael Jordan would be.
You
Michael
mentioned-
Jordan swole up.
you
for
mentioned
the
The
Creed
Rock.
movie, which I can't wait to watch.
I'll definitely watch
I
that.
can't wait to.
You mentioned the Rock and is he there and all that other stuff. He was actually at the hotel that I was staying in. Him, his ex-wife, they were all staying there
right.
because the XFL was
XFL.
right across the street.
Great point.
So he had his security team that was there. I never actually laid eyes on him, but his whole crew was there.
And he definitely he must have went to San Antonio too.
He did.
Right?
He went right after that.
Oh, nice.
He went right after
The
that.
Rock doing
But yeah,
his
he was
thing.
doing. Yep.
We'll talk XFL actually. At 5:45, we'll get into some XFL discussion. All right, we come back. Texas basketball beating Oklahoma. We'll get into that. And Texas baseball with an 0-3 start. We'll talk about whether we need to hit the panic button or not. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn, Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my fantastic group, the Iron Workers Local Union 482. Right now, they're hiring about 3,000 people. They got a big project going on, and you can become a member of Iron Workers Local Union 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. We know Austin is a magnificent city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Iron Workers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city and iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Iron Workers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Iron Workers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shaping Austin's economic development. They're hiring 3,000 people right now, like I said, for a huge project, and you can become a member of Iron Workers Local Union 482. Just go to ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. My man Patrick plays jams, hopefully that can soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who had a really tough weekend. My man Harsh just got done talking about Texas baseball and Harsh Knock Life. That was a tough weekend for Texas baseball, and good song for Texas baseball fans. You guys can lean on each other. Y'all need a little support. That's all right.
It's perfect.
Still really, really early in the season. So we'll get to Texas baseball starting 0-3. Two tight games over the weekend to start off their season. Two close losses, I should say, to start off their season. 1-run losses, but then the Vanderbilt game was probably the most disappointing game Texas baseball fans have had in a while. When was the last time you had a game that was that lopsided for Texas baseball?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, right?
We've had.
I mean, you had some discipline, but
yeah.
that was a pretty lopsided loss. I mean, it was from the jump.
It was
from the get-go.
a lopsided,
Was it
unearned,
eight
unearned runs
to start out in first 2 innings?
Yeah, in the second inning. It happened in the second, and it just kept ringing on them. And I had to. I keep score in my book, right?
Oh, yeah. Got to keep the book, man.
And I'm changing the numbers at the top because they're batting around. They batting around in the innings, and you're like, oh, my goodness, what is really happening here?
Yeah. Seems like that was that's when the dam broke. I'm with you for Texas. So a 12-2 loss to Vanderbilt to end their weekend series in Arlington, and you were there because you called all the games for Flow Baseball. So shout out to Flow Baseball, and some people told me you did a great job. I didn't check out the games, but I'm sure you did a great job. But give me your thoughts. We'll talk Texas basketball here. Obviously, they had a big win over Oklahoma this past weekend, so we'll dive deep into that. I'll talk Texas football in Raj Rant today since we got spring coming up. I'm start getting you guys just start getting you ready, just slowly but surely. Start getting you ready for some Texas spring football. But let's talk Texas baseball now, Harj. And Texas had more errors than they did hits in that game.
Yeah, it's a bad look, man.
Yeah. And then, of course, the 3-2 loss to number 8 Arkansas. You talked a lot about the strikeouts, which were a big issue. They end up with 35 all weekend.
Yeah, it was not a good
total?
It was not a good look because you look at Friday. Texas had 13 strikeouts on Sunday. They had 12, and on Saturday they had 10.
So 35. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, and where they were coming from was the other part of it. It was coming from the top of the lineup. That was the frustrating part about what we were seeing, and I understand. Like I said, it's early in the season. There's a lot of reasons to look at this team and say, all right, there's some things that need to change. But when you start looking at the strikeouts, and I could see it for younger players. I don't want to see it for the older players.
I like that.
I don't want to see the leaders of my team, the top 3 hitters for Texas, Kennedy, Dylan Campbell, and Porter Brown. Not each, but they had 8 strikeouts between them at the top of the lineup. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's something that you're going to go through a little slump. It's at the beginning of the year. And then you look at what happened the next day. Between those 3 again, you had 4 strikeouts. So those are things that you're the leaders of this team. You need to make sure that you come out there prepared, lead these young players, and show them the way. And that's not what happened on this weekend.
Yeah, got to lead by example. And because they're such an inexperienced team, they're going to be over-reliant on those guys who've been there and done that before. Just until, these guys can get some games under their belt, get some starts, get some good reps. You made a good point in Harsh Knock Life that a lot of plays that were given up are plays that weren't made this past weekend. They'll be made, by the time you get to the middle of the season or by the time you start a Big 12 play. It's just a lot of inexperience. I guess the question that I do have, though, is that in a name, image, and likeness era, which is a new era of all college sports, and in a transfer portal era where we do have the free market has hit college sports, and yes, a form of free agency as well, should a blue blood program like Texas, of the ilk of Texas, who should have advantages in the new landscape of college sports, should they be this inexperienced?
No, they should not.
Okay.
And flat out, it's recruiting, period. It doesn't even have to be the transfer portal. The state of Texas has a ton of great players that we've missed out on.
That's fair.
Period. And as a person who lives in the state of Texas and knows the talent and played against a lot of talent and chose to go to the University of Texas because of that, I think we should have more Texas kids that are talented. Not taking anything away from the ones that they went out and got, but this roster needs to be stronger with Texas-tied players. Because the one thing that I see, and I'm not disrespecting anybody when I say this, if you don't understand what it's like to be in the state of Texas and the hatred and the things that go on between the universities when you go up against each other, you talk about it all the time. You see people still doing the horns down all the time. If you don't understand what that means and how it pisses you off, you have no clue to it. But if you live in this state and you grew up around this kind of stuff, you get a feel for it. And that's something that you don't ever want to have to deal with. Because I know it's a sign for, we sit here and say, well, they're still talking about us and they're not even playing us. No, they take pride in the fact of beating the University of Texas, period.
Yep.
And if you don't understand that, you can't come to the university. That should be on the questionnaire. Do you understand what this means when you put on this uniform? There's nothing easy about it. Nothing. And if you don't go out there and compete hard every single time, I got a problem with that. Look, I can get on a soapbox about this, but it's not my job to teach those kids that. Those kids need to know it when they step at this university. And that is the part that hurts. That is the part. And again, like I said, they should have beaten Arkansas the first night, even though their pitcher, Hagen Smith, was dealing. He was dealing. He was tough to hit. I was like, man, I don't even know if I'd have been able to hit that dude the way he was throwing that thing. But they lost 3-2. Then you get a walk-off against Missouri that you could have won that game. And then the only game that was actually bad was the Vanderbilt game, and that was because you had a bunch of young guys out there that couldn't make a play. So if you harness that, you might have beat Vanderbilt. You were still in everything. But if you shorten up your swings and put the ball in play, maybe hit and run, maybe drag bunt, maybe do some things when you're striking out to change your luck, do that.
Yeah.
But what we saw in the first weekend, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be something we're gonna pay attention to or we're gonna see the entire time, but it was disheartening because the pride of the University of Texas of being a Texas baseball player, it means something in this state. It means something in the country. So when people play you, you got to be ready to take their best shot, regardless of who it is. As I said, tomorrow night, you think Texas A&M Texas A&M Corpus Christi's not coming in here to beat you?
Oh, yeah.
They know you're wounded. They know. They saw what happened this weekend. They coming to attack. So you best get ready.
Yeah, Texas, you are a blue blood baseball program, so there's a special satisfaction in beating Texas.
Yeah.
As Brett Bielema said, borderline erotic.
Yep.
Beating Texas. And, especially a lot of teams want to do that when they see Texas is down and out. Not saying they're down and out, but right now, Texas is definitely a young, inexperienced baseball team. Let's talk about the Texas basketball team because they're the opposite.
Yep.
They got a ton of experience, and hopefully down the stretch here of Big 12 play, we'll see that experience really pay huge dividends for Texas basketball. They did get a big win. It was a win that they had to have. They could not afford to lose that game versus Oklahoma and keep their hopes of being a number one seed alive. They get the win in overtime, 85-83. And it was really Sir'Jabari Rice, guys, who was essentially the star. We've talked about him. He's sixth man of the year, potentially in the Big 12, one of the best six men in the country. 24 points, that's a season high for him. 19 of those came in the second half in overtime for Sir'Jabari Rice. He just continues to be the calm, steady hand for them down the stretch in clutch time when they need the most. And, man, he really came up big. Just 34 minutes, but he was so efficient. 8 of 13 from the field, 4 of 6 from three-point range, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, and really did take this game over right around maybe the 6-minute mark because Oklahoma was in a position to really take control of this game. and it was actually 3 shots in the last 6 minutes of regulation. Rice hit that 3-pointer with 5:18 left. That tied it at 67. And then the next possession, he hit the 3-pointer, another 3-pointer to give Texas the lead, their first lead for, I think, in over like 8 minutes or something like that. And then with like 3.5 minutes left, he nailed the fadeaway with the shot clock running down to make it 72-68. That essentially gave Texas enough of a juice to push them to overtime. They were able to find a way to win the game. It was an ugly game. You got to find a way to win ugly, but they found a way to win it. That was the key.
I mean, it seemed like this game was the most evenly matched game. When I say that, you go to halftime, score tied. You end the game, score tied. You end up winning the game by 2 points. Still right there, everybody doing the same thing. So you're right when you start talking about the expectations of this team with Sir'Jabari Rice coming off the bench, Christian Bishop, him coming in. And, Patrick, you were mentioning Timmy Allen. He still played 40 minutes, but he had 9 rebounds in this game. So he led the team in actual rebounds. And that's one of the things, too, that Texas was out-rebounded in this, but they also should have been able to box out a little bit better. And the glaring problem, and we've talked about this, and you brought this up, too, the lack of presence in the paint is going to be something as they continue down this road. And again, I'm not throwing stones. I'm not trying to bash the team because they are one of the top-ranked teams. They are in consideration for Rodney's in consideration for National Coach of the Year. There's so many things to be positive about, but you trying to picture yourself in the Final Four and doing all these other things, you have to be able to get out there and do things differently, and they have to find a presence on the inside. I know it's well beyond that because you can't go out and pick nobody up in free agency right now.
Yeah.
But you still have to work on, let's be better at boxing out. You need to come into the game with a game plan against certain teams to work harder on the rebounding.
Yeah, I mean, and both Texas and Oklahoma are teams that don't really try to rebound as much as some others. Other teams will send 2 or 3 guys. Texas tries to get back in transition to prevent transition baskets against them. I get that, and that's fine. There was a point in the game where you had guys like Godwin come in for Oklahoma, and you had some younger guys in for Oklahoma that were basically just going, hey, there's no one back here. They're leaving like Marcus Carr to get a rebound.
Right.
So all we have to do is stay back, and we will get every offensive rebound because they're leaving a guard back to do it. They're not like their centers are even running back on offense. And you can't do that because you're just giving up possessions and you're just giving up points at that. And they did that a few too many times in this Oklahoma game. And it's just a little bit of, hey, man, I get you want to get back, and I get you're trying to get back, and you think the rebound's safe. Make sure it is. Right. There was a couple of times where they would do a quick press, and our second guard would already be up the court and not looking. You're like, you have to be present in these games because people are trying to get one up on you, and you just kind of seem like you keep being out of it. And so it's just a lot of little errors of why when I'm sitting on the court, you can see these little errors adding up. You're going, there's no reason we should be in this game like we are because if just a few little things change, we're up by 10 points.
Yeah.
But you just keep allowing balls to bounce off the tip of your fingers, and it goes for 2 points the other way. And you just keep allowing to not rebound the ball because you literally left Tyrese Hunter to rebound a ball. And that's the only guy you left down there. And 4 guys are already going down the court. Those types of things you just have to clean up because you're going to start playing some better teams that are watching all this game film. And once you make that mistake once and a team starts picking on it, every other team knows it now. And they go, oh, well, let's do that until they fix that. And then we can try and really stick guys back to rebound. And then the moment they stick guys back to rebound, we'll go and try and do transition. I think Rodney does a good job of in-game adjustments, which you have to do in these. In this game, for whatever reason, it seemed like they kept thinking it'll just fix itself and that eventually guys will start moving faster without the ball and start moving faster when they get out of doubles, and they just never did. Right. And that's where a texter asked about Dylan Mitchell, how you use him better. They've been trying. They've been trying to get him the ball a bit more. I think you might need to pull him a little bit further away from the basket, and I know he's not a big shooter, but I think if you give him a little bit more space to try and maneuver when he's trying to work the offense, it might help him because he's playing face to the basket from about 10 feet. And every time he catches it, he has a defender right on him, and it basically makes him not know where to go. He's usually on the baseline when he's getting these passes. Okay. And so he can't go right, and he can't go left, and he's just kind of looking. So I think you just kind of need to change up where you're giving him the ball. I know that's where you want him to learn how to do it, but until he has that confidence, you're just trying to get him a little bit of confidence before we get into play. And then if you're talking about you want to leave one guy back for a rebound, Dylan Mitchell's my guy. He can jump out of the gym. He's got good wingspan and everything, and he was a really, really important rebounder for us early. But then they were like, he's fast enough that we want him to be on transition defense, that he's one of the few guys that we think can get back and block a shot. But he hasn't really done it much.
Right.
Dylan Dessou's better at that because Dylan Dessou is the type of guy who will say, I'll fling my body into the fourth row of this crowd and get up and be out for the next 10 minutes. But that's just how he's built. And I love it.
Dog, man.
But
Remember,
that's how Dylan
football
Dessou
player.
Yeah, that's how Dylan Dessou's built. And he did it in that game where he did it and hurt himself going up and came back in and played good minutes later. So I think if you're looking that way, I use Dylan Mitchell trying to make sure we have solid rebounding. And I try and give him looks in different places when he's catching the ball, whether it's the top of the key at the free throw line, whether he's a little bit further out to give him a little bit more space so they're not right on top of him, but something like that to try and get a different look, because I know you're really running up against it now, that the time where you needed these young guys to feel better in this offense, you're kind of running out of that space and you need your big names to step up. But if they're going to keep doubling Marcus Carr, other people need to step up. And if Dylan Mitchell can be one of those, he can get that confidence up in these next few games before you get to the Big 12 tournament. That's a huge step forward going forward.
Yeah,
That's a great point. And do we think there's anything that can be done to spark Tyrese Hunter's game down the stretch, or are we just he's contributing what he can and we're just hoping, praying that the tournament it kind of brings him to life? Or are we just at this point throwing our hands up and saying there's nothing that can be done?
I mean, at this point, I think he's
He is
just
what he is. Yeah.
well. I think he's just a little bit underwater with so many things he's tried to learn during this offseason that he didn't ever really catch up of where he's supposed to be, movement of the offense and where he's supposed to be. And when the offense and defense kind of changed a little bit when Chris Beard left and it went to Rodney Terry, I don't think he ever fully caught on to the transition.
That's fair.
And it seems like more and more he's just getting caught where he's not in the right spot. And every time that happens, you just knock away on that confidence, and a shooter needs confidence. And so I don't know how you build that confidence back up in him, but it's nothing really on the court so much. I mean, the main thing you do is drive to the basket, but he's like 6 foot at best. So you don't necessarily want him going in there trying to get fouls, because if he doesn't, he's going to get blocked a lot, and that's less confidence and less confidence.
Yeah.
I think in practice and other stuff like that, you just need to build him back up a little bit and try and get his confidence where he can walk on the court and feel like he felt like when he was at Iowa State and dominating everybody. He just doesn't have that look in his eye right now.
So you're saying easy buckets. We need to get him somehow.
We need to get him easy bucket, but we just need to tell him how good show him old clips. Like we heard the Mike McDaniel thing with Tua, where Mike McDaniel put together all the highlight clips.
Yeah.
And was like, you're not doing everything bad. Get Fireball to put that clip together for Tyrese Hunter and go, look, I know we're yelling at you for these 8 plays a game. Here's the 35. You played great defense. Here's where you took the right shot. Didn't go, but you took the right shot. Like, put that together. Do something to try and build up his confidence, because a shooter needs confidence, and it doesn't look like he has it right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's crazy how body language-wise, just watching a player, because you've seen so much from Patrick, you get an up-close view of these guys, you can tell when a player's not playing with confidence. It's so easy to tell if you watch enough of that team or those players, like, the guy's not playing with much confidence. It's something that you really can't really quantify it, but it can be debilitating to a game.
Yeah, when your eyes get big.
Debilitating.
And everybody knows when your eyes get big.
Yep.
Like everyone on both teams, every coach knows that when your eyes get big, when someone's talking to you like that, and when your teammates are trying to, and your eyes get big, like, oh, I didn't know where I was supposed to be, or I did that. That's not confidence, because confidence is like, oh yeah, that's never happening again. Confidence, don't worry, I'm making it up on this next play. The other is, I better hope it better. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The fear it might happen again
Yeah,
instead
and the
of
fear
the
of, I'm gonna lose
confidence
my-
that it won't happen
Yeah,
again.
I'm gonna lose my playing time.
Yeah.
If I already transfer once, what am I? Like that is not what you want in your shooter. Do you want your shooter is, oh, it don't matter. Get in my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want when Jaylen Brown last night was telling Jason Tatum he was too small. That is what I want. I want you telling a 6'8" player he's too small.
He needs some of that Marcus Carr confidence.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Like he's a
but
rough-
that's because Marcus Carr is a 4th, 5th year senior,
Yeah, but he does. He has that kind of
And
it's
that's-
unshakable confidence.
and he didn't last year.
No, you're right.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I get you have to do it. I don't know how you do that, though. But if you can get him to get some confidence back, then that hope for the three-pointer comes back a little bit more. That's where the defensive play steps up more. That's where at least just being a threat enough to pass the ball and cut and have the confidence to dribble in and draw a defense, because he's not even really doing that anymore.
Yeah.
That's a good point. No, I agree with it. No question. Texas did find a way to get the win. They have a really tough stretch. I say that, but it's just the Big 12.
It's the Big 12.
It's a really tough stretch. It's just Big 12 football. They got a couple of games, 4 games actually, against Iowa State. Then they got at Baylor, at TCU, so consecutive road games, and then they got Kansas to close out the season. So if they want the number 1 seed, it's within their grasp, and it lays out perfectly for them. I saw the NCAA tweeted out their number 1 seeds, and they have right now, obviously, just projecting, as Craig Way says, the bracketological prognostications. 1 seeds are Bama, U of H, Purdue, and Kansas. 2 seeds, Texas, Arizona, Baylor, UCLA. So you're right there. Right there.
Love it.
You can get a lot of Big 12 love. So John Rothstein, I saw him tweet out, he said in their, I guess they do a mock tournament or whatever, they had 5 Big 12 tournaments in their top 12 seeds. And he said if TCU had a healthy Miles, that they might end up with 6 in the top 16 potentially.
Well, he's back healthy now,
Yeah,
so
he's
some
got-
things
well,
will
then
change
they-
now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Starting tonight. He played this past weekend, but they play Kansas tonight on Big Monday.
Yeah, he'll be back for Texas. That's for damn sure. All right. Yeah. So a good discussion about Texas basketball there. Good discussion about Texas baseball. Just say a little bit more depressing.
No, I'm not trying to depress you.
No,
Let's give us some time.
No, it's all right. We'll have plenty of wins to talk about when
That's
it comes
right.
to Texas baseball. If not, we are getting a panic button for the show. We're going to give it to my man Harge. And when you need to panic, he will hit the panic button for you. So until then, Harge knows more hardball than anybody I know. So he says we're far from the panic button.
Right.
But we are purchasing one.
We are definitely purchasing
But
one.
just
I
in
think I'm
case.
going to go. Hey, Patrick, why don't you go to Home Depot and pick it up?
Hey, a lot of single ladies there at Home Depot, baby.
And they won't be hitting the panic button.
Nah, you damn
You
right.
know how creepy that is to tell
Yeah.
a girl, what are you shopping for? A panic button?
I got a panic room and I need a panic
I
button.
got a panic button. Where are you putting it? Just out of reach in the hole.
What are you doing this weekend? Yeah, she runs for her life. All right, we come back. We got Raj wrap the day. Third down. We'll talk about third down. We're doing deep dives. So we'll talk about third down and personnel and what Sark could have done better to help his team out on third down. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Well, if you're looking for a brand new car, no need for you to hit the panic button because my friends at Apple Leasing, they got you taken care of. It is their business, folks, to save you time and also save you money, and they do it really well. They also find great value for their customers, and that's what Apple Leasing is all about. That's why they've been in business here in Austin for so long. You're talking about decades, folks, because they have a name you can trust. Apple Leasing has the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And it's pretty simple. All it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing's simple interest, easy lease makes life, well, simple because it gives you a lot of flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is, well, it's out of control. Let's be honest. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So the car market is absolutely brutal and it's hard to navigate. But if you got Apple Leasing on your side, folks, it makes it really, really simple because leasing now makes more sense than ever because of inflation. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. That's the value that Apple Leasing can find for you. So give them a call, 512-346-9977. No need to fear this car market that we're in. We know it can be a little intimidating. Apple Leasing can help you out with that. They'll walk you through every step of the way. 512-346-9977. They'll get the get you the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. It's just that simple. They get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time for Raj Round the Day. I am getting ready for spring football. We know it's baseball season. It is basketball season, but pretty soon it'll be spring football season. So I'm doing some deep dive research, going back through all of my notes and actually trying to extrapolate different concepts and different ideas that could have helped the Longhorns, or probably things that ended up trends and patterns that ended up hurting the Longhorns last season. So I went and started looking at third down this weekend. Third down as it relates to personnel groupings, personnel packages that were used on third down. And I just wanted to go find out, conversion rates of third down for Texas in certain personnel groupings. And I was a little surprised. So basically, when I started looking at third downs, I went and looked at 11 personnel because Sark basically only plays. Now, he mixes up last year in personnel groupings, but for the most part, Sark is playing 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, and he's playing, his 21 or 20 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight ends, 2 backs, 0 tight ends, 2 backs, and this year, he even broke out the 6 O-line package, which we call like the Big 12 package on the show. So he is starting to vary things a little bit. He's starting to see a little bit more diversity when it comes to his personnel groupings. And hopefully, I think that continues. Honestly, the truth is, I want to see Sark with more personnel variety. I think it's really good for him. I think it's really good for the offense. I think it can end up sparking his creativity on offense. And oftentimes, I've looked at it, and he's actually more explosive, more efficient as a play caller. His offenses are, I should say, when he is in different personnel groupings. Now, this year, Texas' third down percentage was 38.7% conversion rate for the entire season. So that's kind of your barometer. That's kind of the standard. So I looked at 11 personnel, which he loves, by the way. Sark uses 11 personnel more than any other personnel grouping. Around over 41% of the time, he's in 11 personnel. Just looking at third down conversions. And by the way, there are more third down conversions out of 11 personnel than any other group. So when Sark is getting to a third down, he's going to go 1 back, 1 tight ends. Mm-hmm. I would say 75% of the time. He's going 11 personnel on third down. Third and short, third and long, third and medium. I got all kinds here in my notes. Mostly third and medium and third and long. Third and short, every now and then he would change that up, and then he would go with 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, more of a power look. Or he'd go with his 21 personnel, which you guys know I've been advocating for more 2-back sets for the last 5 years, even when Tom Herman was on the 40 acres. But I digress. He'd go to more power packages when he did have third and short or short yardage situations. So I looked at 12 personnel, which he loves, true 12, not the 6-0 line package 12 personnel. Just a true 12 personnel third downs, and found that Texas had a 50% conversion rate. 12 personnel, true 12 personnel. Just your J.T. Sanders out there, and I believe Helm was probably the tight end they used the most last season. They tried to use Billingsley early on. That didn't work out. And if Billingsley would have worked out, honestly, this offense could have been transformed into a much more potent offense out of 1 back, 2 tight ends. Honestly, you could argue if Jaleel Billingsley had worked out, they probably would have played a ton more 12 personnel. Because remember, they couldn't find a third wide receiver the whole entire year. What I think hurt them, honestly, in 11 personnel, why the conversion rate drops precipitously for them in 11 personnel as opposed to the other personnel packages, and even compared to their standard third down conversion rate during the regular season, you didn't have a third wide receiver. You had X-Man, you had Jay Witt. That was it. So if you're in third and medium or third and long, most of the time you're going to a wide receiver. I think you were at a disadvantage almost when you had a third wide receiver out there running routes, when chances are they couldn't beat man-to-man. They weren't going to get open and create any separation. Now, later on, we found out J.T. Sanders became more of that third option, but it should have been X-Man, Jay Witt, J.T. Sanders, and another threat at wide receiver. That would have helped your passing game tremendously, but it made you a lot easier to defend on third down out of 11 personnel, which is your most frequent personnel package used on third down, but it made you a lot easier to defend because you didn't have that third wide receiver. That shouldn't be the case this year. X-Man, Jay Witt, Isaiah Nayor coming back. You brought in A.D. Mitchell from Georgia. You got Jonte Cook coming in. So you should have at least 3 viable wide receivers to make your 11 personnel grouping a more effective, potent one on third down this year. So like I said, true 12 personnel, 50% conversion rate. That's pretty good. Now, like I said, more of those are short, third and shorts, as opposed to third and long, third and medium, because he likes to go power package when it's a short yardage situation. So I went and looked at multi-back sets. You guys know I love my multi-back sets. All right, whether it be 20 personnel, 21 personnel. Even this year he was using 20, sometimes it was 30 personnel. He put 3 backs out there, 31 personnel, got really creative. He got the deepest running back room in the country. Why not get wild and crazy with it? 50% conversion rate on third downs for your multi-back sets. Except fewer attempts, fewer instances where you actually use that personnel on third downs, but you converting half of your third downs in true 12 personnel and in your multi-back sets. And you're at 34% when you go to 11 personnel. I went and looked at 6 O-line package and figured, all right, let's look at the 6 O-line package, see if it tracks. It does. I mean, you're over 70% conversion rate in your third downs when you're 6 O-line package. So I think the one thing I think hurts your 11 personnel is that you didn't have a true third wide receiver. When you went 12 personnel, essentially you used... Huh?
That's the biggest.
That's the biggest, right?
Yeah.
And when you was 12, I think what happened there in 12, oftentimes J.T. Sanders was out on the route and Gunnar Helm was just there as a blocker.
Right.
So
no threat at all.
Exactly. So essentially, it was your 6 O-line package.
Right.
When you brought in 6 O-linemen, he just stayed there and blocked. And you had on the route, it was J.T. Sanders, X-Man, and Jay Witt, or X-Man in the back, or Bijan in the backfield, or Rojo in the backfield. And that works to have fewer guys out on routes. They may have more defenders in pass coverage, but you got more time to throw because you got an extra lineman in for pass protection or an extra tight end in for pass protection. So honestly, what I'm basically saying is what it showed me a little bit of is that even though you had an extra player or extra receiving threat out on a route in 11 personnel, essentially you did better with that guy in as a blocker to give your quarterback more time to convert in third down situations rather than have that guy out on a route.
Yeah, Gunnar Helm had 5 receptions.
Yeah, exactly. He was more effective
Yeah.
as a blocker to give more time. And I think you could argue the same thing. So I bet if I went back and looked at those multi-back sets ones, you had a lot of times the multi-back set. One of those backs is standing in the block.
Yep.
Whether it be a Rojo or whether that be a Bijan or a Keelan. So you really only had 3 viable receiving threats. You had X-Man, you had Jay Witt, underutilized, as Harge always said, totally agree. And you had J.T. Sanders.
Yep.
And this year, I think it'll help your third down situational football to have more viable, better receiving threats downfield. And so the truth is, I think what conclusion I came to just kind of looking at all this information is that Sark needs to be more diverse in his personnel groupings, more variety. I know you love your 11 personnel, and that's great. But the truth is, if I just let's go look at yards per play. All right? You had higher yards per play in 12 personnel and in multi-back sets. Hell, in multi-back sets, you were 7 yards per play. 12 personnel, you were over 7 yards per play. As an offense, you were over 6 yards per play. As an offense, you were under 6 yards per play in 11 personnel, though. So as an offense, you're at 6.4 yards per play, but you're under that when you run 11 personnel. You're under 6 yards per play, but you're over 7 yards per play when you run a 12 personnel. Hell, you're over 8 yards per play when you run out of 21 personnel. Somebody kept trying to tell you should run 20 personnel. Who was that saying they should run more 21 personnel? I think it was me. For the last 5 years, they finally did it. And look, 8 yards per play. Good for you.
Some
Thank
dude
God.
that played football at the university
Right?
that does a
Come
deep
on,
dive all
people.
the time.
Go look at yards per rush. As a team, your yards per rush, you're at 5.3 yards per rush. At 12 personnel, that's at 6. That's really good. You're also really good at yards per rush out of 11 personnel, so I'm not saying don't run that. You're actually over 6 yards per rush. I have 11 personnel, too. Really, really good. But I just like I like diversity and variety in your personnel groupings because you have the talent to do it. Your explosive play rate, plays of at least 15 yards in the passing game, 10 yards in the running game, 14% explosive play rate in 11 personnel. You're at 20%, nearly 20% at 12 personnel. You're over 23% out of 21 personnel. Your explosive play rate as an offense overall was around 16%, but you're below that 11 personnel. So I'm just looking at the trends, and it shows that a lot of your efficiency metrics and analytics drop in 11 personnel as opposed to 12 personnel. Yards per attempt in passing, 7.7 as a team. You drop below that in 11 personnel. You're over 9 yards per attempt out of 12 personnel. You're over 11 yards per attempt out of 21, 10 yards per attempt out of multi-back sets, and yet in the bowl game, not one multi-back set. Not 121 or 20 personnel. Your most explosive and most efficient personnel package all year long, and you didn't even see it in the bowl game. Not a sniff of it. So, anyway, we'll be doing more deep dives before the spring, but there's a little deep dive on third down percentages, conversion rates as it relates to personnel groupings for my man Sark. All of that and more. We come back. We'll get into a little off the record. Matter of fact, we're talking about the XFL when we come back. Did you watch or did you pass? All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Last off the record, we talked about the Fast and Furious street racers that had come to Austin and to our fine community and blocked off several intersections, 4 different intersections they hit at the same time in a very organized effort here in the ATX, and really strained our police, APD here in Austin.
To say the least.
So they're still looking and investigating that incident. CB says he's up in there. He's up in Washington. He says they're talking about the street racing in Austin on the news up here. It's big national news, man. So catch those jabronis. All right. Did you guys watch the XFL at all?
I did not get the chance to see it because obviously I was working this weekend.
Yeah, he was working.
And I was looking at some of the fans, though, because as I was walking back from my hotel, the fans were leaving Choctaw Stadium right across the street from Globe Life. And they looked like they was having a good time. Looked like they really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, I think, definitely in San Antonio, they're having a good time until they lost the game. But they were having a good time down there. And The Rock announced that they are going to be the site of San Antonio will be the site of the championship game.
Nice.
I think that's because they've been so faithful. I mean, even the first XFL.
Yeah, San Antonio is desperate for a football team.
So
they're
the
only place that supports it.
They do. They come out,
Because they really, really want a football team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they support it. But you knew this was going to – he's going hard on it because he named it the Brahmas. And he was the Brahma Bull.
That's right.
Broncos and Brahma Bull.
And, yeah, okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And didn't he say one of his first Royal Rumbles or something like that was down there?
Yeah, I would assume that, because the Royal Rumble has been there a number of times.
He said one of his first Royal Rumbles was down. So he actually had a lot of nice things to say about San Antonio, as everyone should, except for Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was clowning Utah, though, too, so don't take it personal.
What they were doing out, and they're like, man, you guys have been such good hosts. I was like, they got a gun to your head or something? Yeah. And then as soon as they cut away from being on live mics, he's like, can't get a drink around here, nothing to do. I've never had so much room service in my life.
Yeah, I wondered how the community of Utah was going to handle All-Star Weekend, though. I mean, it is one of the biggest party weekends for the sports culture, but definitely for the black culture, too, for the hip-hop culture.
Right.
Utah and hip-hop culture don't necessarily get
a spot.
Yeah, don't necessarily. That doesn't really go well together.
No.
But I was wondering about that. Anyway, getting back to the XFL. So how about this, guys? I love this story. I'm sad for the San Antonio Brahmas, but I like this story because it shows you why the XFL, at least some of the ideas in the XFL. 125 remaining in the fourth quarter. That's it. Which 125, usually game over, done deal, especially when you're up 15-3. But St. Louis scored a touchdown and then got a 3-point conversion from the 10-yard line. Remember, you can get a 1-point conversion from the 2, you can get a 2-point conversion from the 5, or a 3-point conversion from the 10. So they made it 15-12. That's when they used the onside kick alternative, which is a 4th and 15 option on your own 25, which they converted into a first down to keep the ball. And then St. Louis converted with A.J. McCarron, actually. He hit Austin Pro for the first down. Then the Battlehawks marched down the field for a touchdown, game-winning touchdown, with McCarron hitting Pro once again, and they won the game 18-15. And the XFL got to highlight 2 of its rule alternatives or changes that set it apart from the NFL that may be a little bit more exciting to the everyday football fan.
Do you think the NFL decides to implement any of this?
No, remember the NFL does have a partnership with the XFL now. It is an innovation technology partnership.
Right.
So these are the ideas that the NFL wants the XFL to deploy and test out and troubleshoot. And then the NFL wants the data on the ideas, how they did, how people, what impressions they got on social media.
Right.
People like them, they dislike them. And the NFL, I'm not saying they're going to implement them, but they will at least consider the data. They've admitted that. They're going to consider some of these changes. I think the best one's the kickoff.
Right.
The best one is the kickoff, where neither the returner, nobody moves, by the way. Nobody moves until the returner either catches the ball or the ball's been on the ground for 3 seconds. So only the returner and the kicker can move. And then once the ball is caught or either been on the ball for 3 seconds, then the other 10 players who are only 5 yards across from one another,
right,
then they can actually move. So you have no, collisions, no those car crashes, and you still... they still increase the amount of returns. And by the way, that's a dead play in the NFL now.
Right.
But it's not a dead play in the XFL.
Yeah, because there are no returns when you start looking at that. So, Yeah, I'm with you on that. That might be a good look right there.
I'll also give him. I saw some highlights of the replays. Their replay system is better than the NFL's as well.
Yeah, Dean Blandino does it, right?
Yes, where he was like, it's just in a room and it just cuts to him and he's like, all right, I just want to see that again. All right, we see that. All right, he's got possession and bounce. All right, roll it through. We're good. Catch.
More transparency.
Yeah, transparency, but it was also
Yeah.
super quick because it was just a dude in a room and he was like, I know
All
I'm
the
on
camera
TV.
angles. Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. So it's like, let's just go through it. Let's make the call real quick. Let's make this better for viewership so we can break it down. And the longer we give TV to break it down, the more everyone's going to hate our call no matter what it is.
True that.
So if we just cut to me saying what it is, then maybe fans won't be so angry
Right.
by this call because they waited 5 minutes for me to tell them they were wrong.
I know I'm with you. I love I didn't see that, but I saw it on social media, and I like that idea too. More transparency. Honestly, the NFL has a few wasted plays they're trying to get rid of. The kickoff is considered a wasted play. I think the XFL's got an answer for that. The extra point, they've been decentivizing the extra point for some time. Moved it back to the 33 from the 20. The XFL's got an answer for your extra point, which is a wasted play. And one of your issues has been the officiating, or at least their review of some of those plays. They also have a golden challenge, which means you can challenge any play, any call, any time of the game.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is.
It's called the
Golden Challenge.
Yeah.
And I love that. Bill Belichick actually had that idea about 10 years ago for the NFL, and they never wanted to implement it. So, I like some of the things the XFL is implementing. I think the NFL should at least be paying attention. And NFL has long stolen, or as CDC says, rip off and duplicate ideas like the Skycam, miking up players, and playing that audio during the games. Hell, even the 2-point conversion is something the NFL
Did I hear that
ripped
every
off.
player is mic'd up in the XFL too?
It might be. I don't know. It might
Okay.
be. I know that they've done a lot to try to bring more access for the fans. So, all right, XFL, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever be able to compete with the NFL. But I don't think that's their goal anymore. They're just trying to survive, and maybe they can do that with The Rock.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into the NCAA looking into changing the rules to shorten the game. This is a problem for every sport in every league now. And everybody's got to look into it. Even college football, one of the most popular sports, trying to shorten the game. All that and more when we return right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. It is a brand new year, and it means it's time for you to win big at MyBookie. That's right. Football season is over, but that doesn't mean it's time for you to, to be down and out. You still got to get excited about those bets you place. You still got to get excited because over at MyBookie, they give you plenty of ways to win. If you're tired of losing and tired of the same old betting experience, you can upgrade immediately to MyBookie, which is a premier destination for online sports betting. Whether you bet to earn money or just to make the games more exciting, MyBookie gives you the most bang for your buck with their redesigned deposit bonus just in time for March Madness. That's right, folks. Just use the promo code HORN, HORN, to receive a bonus instantly to your MyBookie account. That's HORN, HORN, to receive your bonus. There's no shortage of games to choose from at MyBookie, and everyone knows that right now is the best time for you to cash in big over at MyBookie. With every player out there looking to make a name for themselves, especially in March Madness, you know the player props are a great way to find an edge. With so many brands to choose from, you need a platform that makes it easy to use, simple to bet, and makes it easy to win like MyBookie. Bet anything, bet anytime, and bet anywhere. As long as you're betting with MyBookie, you are betting with the best. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. You can always be a part of the show. Please do hit us up on the Specs Text line. Best way to do it, 512-337-3776. You also can reach out to us via Twitter. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse, Harge at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse, and Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, tomorrow, just a heads up for all the folks who might be in the neighborhood. We are going to be on the road tomorrow. We're going to be at Mudbugs tomorrow. That is located in Buda, 306 South Main Street.
That's right. That's right.
306 South Main Street in Buda, Texas. So if you want to come hang out with the crew tomorrow, Maharaj and myself will be out there at Mudbugs in Buda. I think my man E. Hogan is also going to come hang out because one of his favorite spots. He always hangs out there. I've never been, but I've heard great things about Mudbugs. Every time we mention it, Specs text line lights up with people giving us recommendations about food options and suggestions for Mudbugs. So looking forward to that. That'll be tomorrow for Ball Don't Lie. Starting at 3, we'll be out there in Buda at
Kicking
Mudbugs.
off Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday
That's
tomorrow.
right. Tomorrow's Fat Tuesday. Let's turn it up.
Fat Tuesday. Is that the purpose of the
Yes,
thing?
celebrating
Okay.
Mardi Gras. I mean, you've got to go Cajun Fat Tuesday.
That's right. That's right.
Are women going to be taking off their tops?
I'm bringing beads, Rod.
I mean,
I'm bringing
not
beads.
during the show, I bet.
Well, I don't
Well,
know.
then,
That is Rod Babers
You
over
can't
there.
even- if you said that, you can't be comparing it to Mardi Gras, man. Nobody taking it.
I mean,
The best thing about Mardi Gras is easily beads for breasts.
it is.
Beads for
I will
boobs.
say,
There's
I will
nothing
say,
better.
Beads for
the sun
boobs.
is normally down when these transactions are happening.
What'd you say?
I'm saying the sun is normally down. I think y'all are
Oh,
going to
with
be
beads for boobs happening?
Yeah, I think y'all are going to be there mostly when the sun is up, which may hurt your opportunities.
That's true.
No, but the visuals will still be there.
I do believe that still you can get some beads for boobs
Y'all just got to
during
get on
the
the roof.
daytime.
I don't know if you can get on the roof at Mudbugs, but if you can, that always helps. If you got height on somebody,
I'm just saying, beads for boobs. I mean,
Well, I'm just telling you right now, I'm stopping by Party City on the way home,
That's
just
how-
in case.
just saying, man. I always thought that
I
was
might throw them at the crib. I don't know.
That is the best thing about Mardi Gras is that we live in an age still where beads for boobs is acceptable, and I can go buy those beads at the dollar store.
Yep,
big
yep.
bag of them, and I just throw beads to ladies, and they'll flash me boobs.
yeah.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
this is still
Is that-
happening, right? Even
I think it's-
post COVID, that didn't stop. Did that?
It didn't,
I
it didn't
think
stop them during COVID.
Hey, that's the best way to get COVID.
well,
Beads for boobs.
they was accepting.
I'll take
They
that
was
COVID all
accepting.
day. All right, so as long as it's still happening, I'm cool
is,
with that.
it
Okay.
is.
But we're not doing that at Mudbugs.
well, you don't never
Patrick
know,
saying
man.
no beads for boobs.
Hey, doesn't mean that we are the ones that are going to be partaking in it, but others may. You never know when they start sipping on that Mardi Gras juice. You know what I'm saying?
That is some good juice. All right, so hopefully beads for boobs, but if not, we're just hanging out at Mudbugs, having a good time for Fat Tuesdays. All right, let's get to this story because I thought it was really interesting. I haven't heard much talk about it at all, and I thought it'd be a good discussion for us to have. So I got it from Ross Dellinger, and he is reporting that high-ranking college football leaders have been reviewing 4 specific changes to clock rules, 2 of which are considered, pretty mundane, not very controversial at all, and one that is considered very controversial. So they're considering these proposals to help shorten college football games. The non-controversial proposals include prohibiting consecutive timeouts, i.e. icing the kickers, no longer extending a first or third quarter for an untimed down if the quarter ends on a defensive penalty. The down would be clocked starting the next quarter. The third proposal that is garnering wide support, the clock will continue to run after an offense gains a first down, except inside of 2 minutes and a half. In a more controversial 4th proposal, the clock will continue to run after an incomplete pass once the ball is spotted for play. So
Interesting.
In the NFL, the clock continues to run after first downs. Meanwhile, a first down stops the clock in college until the ball is placed. So there you go.
That's interesting, though,
out
when you
of
start
those-
looking at it.
Out of those 4, which one do you guys think are the most reasonable? I don't like the 4th one. The 4th, the clock will continue to run after an incomplete pass once the ball is spotted for play.
Yeah, that's not favorable. That's the
I don't like
purpose
that
of it.
one.
That's like it's a spike. You can't spike it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't spike it because you're trying to stop the clock. to keep things moving. So, I mean, to reset yourself. So I think that's a bad rule. I do like the speed up rule a little bit, though. We've been
With
out
the
there
clock
with
on
some
the run?
Yeah.
Yeah, the clock will run after an offense gains a first down, except inside 2 minutes of a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one
Yeah.
too.
That's the only one that I would play with.
That one's good.
But I don't like the fact that if you throw an incomplete pass, the clock doesn't stop. That is ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that one. That one seems a bit extreme.
It's way too much.
Well, and it's also weird because it's like the anti-NFL of it would make it less of a reason to pass, which the NFL does everything to try and make you throw the ball more. It's more exciting. Like that would just be like, well, why don't we run it? Like just run the ball more because throwing the ball doesn't help you at all.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. The NFL's like, no, throw it. That's why they're going to eliminate the tush push.
What's
Like,
the Darryl Rowe? What's the Darryl Rowe quote?
Huh? There are 3 things that can happen when you throw the ball, and 2 of them are bad.
Yeah, well, so in the NFL, and if right now in college, if you are trying to conserve clock, it makes another thing that's good. Even a missed pass is a good thing because it stops the clock.
Yeah.
Now, if you take that out, now it is really like, man, there is one good thing that can happen and a lot of bad.
That's true.
Yeah. Plus, they got to respot a ball that now is 17 rows deep, and they got to get the other ball back out there because it's not like you have the ball right back because the ball went wherever.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with you on that. I think it's a good point. They haven't thought that one through. And by the way, this is just proposal, so they're going to talk about it.
And they're going to
break it
stop
down.
that. You know that.
Yeah, I think Packers just gave a really good rationale as to why that rule probably won't pass the smell test. But I do like the rule about prohibiting consecutive timeouts. I guess you can throw that out there if you want to. No longer extending a first or a third quarter for an untimed down if the quarter ends on a defensive penalty. I guess that's another way to speed up the game. I guess 1 or 2 of these are pretty common sense and they're rational proposals to help speed up the game. It's just interesting because I was looking at, the average game length for major sports. And obviously baseball has probably been the most talked about
trust me,
sport in terms of the length of the game. As a matter of fact, they just changed the rules to try to speed up the game.
I got to witness it this weekend.
Yeah, they'll be on a pitch clock now,
they
right?
got a pitch clock, and everything is rushed. You can only go out to the mound for a certain amount of time. You got to have the pitchers ready, and if you step out of the box, Dylan Campbell was called for a strike 3 while he was getting back in the box because of the timer. The batter was out of the box too long. They timed it. They banged him. He was out of there.
Yeah. I think it's going to take some adjustment. I heard Coach Ty Harrington talking about it too on B&E, and he was saying something very similar. It's going to take a lot of time for players and coaches to get used to the new rules. But I will say I think it's worth experimenting with. So the average college football game is 3 hours and 24 minutes on average. The average NFL game is 3 hours and 12 minutes on average. College football games have a 20-minute halftime on average. NFL games have a 12 to 15-minute average halftime. The average Major League Baseball game, 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's shorter than college football games or NFL games. And if you look at live action is pretty much the key. Because how about this? The NFL has the least amount of live action out of all the major sports. They only got 15 to 20 minutes of actual live action, 18 on average, over 100 total plays. The least amount of live action, like I said, out of all the major sports. Major League Baseball, a little over 20 minutes of live action. NBA, NHL, MLS, English Premier League, a little over 45 minutes of live action. And I've always said this about baseball. I don't know if length of the game is the real issue. I think it's one of those things where it's more about the pace, it's more about the lack of storylines and the lack of action within the game. Because we sit and watch NFL games in their entirety, in their totality. College football games, hell, Big 12 games are long as hell.
Yes.
They're like 4-hour damn games.
Which is why I think they're trying to speed this thing up, too, because viewership, too.
But we sit and watch them.
Yeah.
We complain about it a little bit, but that's not the main storyline. Nobody's talking about that as much. But I do think for baseball, the issue is its pace, its storylines, lack of storylines, or lack of action and lack of pace, because these other sports, just like college football is trying to do now, they have the same issues with the length of their games, but they're not losing viewership and losing the young demo like baseball is, because I think it's more about the pace. Like, it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion in the ocean.
Right.
And you don't got enough motion in that ocean. The NFL, hell man, they got a lot of motion in that ocean.
Right.
And I think that's more why it is a little bit more appealing. to
Well,
a younger demo and to more fans these days.
Well, the one thing I do realize about baseball, and I had this conversation this weekend, actually a lot, because my co-host is a purist when you're watching baseball and how the games are. But the reason being is because baseball is so different because it's the only game that's untimed. Think about it.
I know.
That's the only team sport that is untimed. So you're used to being those 3 and 4 hour games. But I know that it was easier now because the commercial breaks, they would be in our ear. You got 1 minute. You got 45 seconds. They have sped that up as well. That's because good. Of the endorsements. The endorsements are happening right now on every screen. Mm-hmm. You get to see it on a TV game. You see it in left field. You see it in right field. You see it in center field. You see it when a guy comes up to bat. You see it on the home plate. You see it on the pitcher's mound. You see all the advertisements, so they're paying more for that as opposed to the commercials in between these games as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because I think the NFL has like 25% of its broadcast is commercials. So you're right. Commercials are a big part of it. The NFL famously wanted to do the picture-in-a-picture now sometimes.
Yep.
Have a commercial break and there's still no action going on. It's just the guys in a huddle on the sideline.
Right.
But it doesn't feel the same when they go away from the broadcast for a commercial. Like you said, it feels different when it's an in-broadcast commercial. Still commercials.
Still commercials.
In-broadcast commercials. But I think it kind of gets to a deeper issue for baseball because I remember reading that Microsoft Corporation survey or study, I should say, that was done that said that, now people's attention span was the same as a goldfish. It was around 8 to 9 seconds, the modern attention span. And it really, I think it really does affect sports. The TikTok generation, it does affect sports. We're dealing with a new entertainment ecosystem, and not only a different ecosystem where people can stream stuff they want, and they don't have to worry about watching commercials if they don't want to, but also you're dealing with a different generation of sports fan. And I read this article in Market Watch. It's a great article. It talks about Gen Zers, and Gen Zers were born when? In the late 90s or something like that? Early 2000s?
Zero clue about the generations.
I think it's like early 2000s or something like that, Gen Z. I get a little mixed up.
Yep.
I could be like early 2010. Maybe it's early 2010. Like, I'm not sure exactly when it is. But a Morning Consult article titled Gen Z Keeps Sports Executives Up Night. Here's what they're doing about it. It depicts an entire industry on edge. It's not a front and center issue to the average consumer, but youth flight might be the number one focus of sports executives. Gen Z did not warm up to sports as previous generations did. And those younger than Z are even more sports apathetic. Gen Zers, according to survey results, are half as likely as millennials to watch live sports regularly and twice as likely to never, ever watch live sports. This trend appears to be only accelerating. According to Sports Business Journal, surveys suggest that only 15% of Generation Alpha, the next incoming generation of teens, enjoy watching sports at all. They just don't like sports the way we did. They don't. They don't consume it the same way we did. They don't like it the same way we did. Now, we live in a bit of a bubble because we live in Texas. Everybody's likes sports. But I'm talking about on a national scale. This is something that's really starting to freak out executives because baseball, there's a lot of money being thrown into sports right now, live sports. Why? Because there are only two things that we watch live as a society: news and sports. That's it. Everything else we're streaming. Everything else we DVR it. We'll watch it. I'm not trying to watch some commercials and fast forward. I got stuff to do. There are two things we will watch live and sit through commercials. Studies have shown. We'll watch the news live. Nobody wants to DVR news because you get it on your timeline. No, most people don't DVR it. No, I watch it live. I sit down. I watch my news. You sit down and you watch your sports and your team. You watch it live. And it's a social agent. You share that experience with everybody else. And now they're afraid that the two things that they believe were safe havens for advertising. How we know we got eyes that will watch this stuff. Sports may not be a safe haven anymore to get advertisers like they used to, because they're not going to guarantee the eyeballs because young people don't love it as much. Getting back to baseball, the most glaring stat about baseball and the state of it is Washington Post article says this is actually something that was in 2018, 50% of baseball fans in America are 55 and older.
Yep. Those are the true baseball novice, right? I mean, not novice. The what do you call them? Lifers. When you're 55 and older, you're the lifer, so you don't care about how long the game is.
Average.
It's the younger people that are the ones that are like,
I ain't got time for this.
I gotta go somewhere.
I gotta
else.
go.
There's
My
too
phone.
much to go.
Average age for baseball viewers 57. Hell, the only sports that are older are NASCAR, men's tennis, horse racing, golf, and figure skating. That's why you have to do this for baseball. You have to shorten the games. You don't have a choice because the average fan is dying for baseball. It's just the reality of it. You got to get younger fans. Only 7% of fans, baseball fans, are under 18. That's it.
Well, that's the other part of it too. That's what we've been talking about through the baseball circles, and the reason being, if you're not a baseball fan, you're not going to be one anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like if you didn't grow up around the game, you're not. I'm not going to call some of my boys and be like, "Hey man, y'all want to go watch a game with me?" Nah, I'm good. You want to go watch a football game? Yeah, what time you want to go? You know what I'm saying? It just changes. If you're not a true baseball fan, you're not going to have that desire to watch it, whether they shorten it, whether they extend it, whatever. This is more for the true baseball fan, I believe, that does not care about the time restraints. That's the thing about it. Those are the ones that are being upset. Those are the people. There's a pitcher that was just on here, and he said, as a former pitcher, I enjoy fast-paced baseball. The pitch clock is not good, especially when a kid get called for a strikeout on a technicality. And you're right, it's traditionalist. That was the word I was looking for, the baseball traditionalist. So, I mean, there's some good and bad with the changes that'll be in it. But if you don't like baseball, you're not going to watch it anyway.
That's fair, but don't you want to appeal to younger fans to recruit younger fans? Because if you don't recruit younger fans, then you're basically just admitting the sport's going to die. Because if you're saying unless you're a real baseball fan, you're not going to get into baseball anyway. Real baseball fans are dying, as I just said. Stat is. So you're just saying they're just going to continue. You said this is inevitable. We can't stop it.
These are the people. Yeah, these are the people that are bringing their kids to the games that grew up with the game. Like the Occupy left fields. Those are true baseball people. They're younger too. I
agree, but the game has to be able to expand its fan base. They got to reach out to newer fans. Remember I just told you about the Pro Bowl? What's the Pro Bowl become? I said it's a candy cigarette for the NFL. They've decided, screw the Pro Bowl. We don't care about trying to cater to football fans because football fans hate the Pro Bowl. Why? Because it ain't football.
Right.
That ain't real football, so they're going to hate it anyway. What we need to do is turn it into a kid-friendly, family-friendly event. Dodgeball. We got driving contests, catching contests. The same games kids play. Tic-tac-toe. We're gonna play. They have their best, their favorite football players playing those games, and then maybe they'll want to be a football player. Or they want to play football. So I just think because you want to play baseball because you saw a star athlete playing baseball, right? I want to play football because I want to be like Deion Sanders.
Right.
I go on the street. I wanted to be like those stars I saw on TV and go, "Hey, I'm Deion today, baby. You can't hold me."
Right.
Like, that's the whole point. And nobody wants to grow up being like Mike Trout because I don't even know what the hell he is.
Right, and so Mike Trout doesn't put himself out there like that either.
I see kids say, I want to be Patrick Mahomes. Right. I see him saying it. Like, I know their moms don't even like football.
Right.
But that's what you know what I mean? Like, so you have to have something appealing to the younger demo.
You do have to have something, but I think, too, the other side of this coin is it's too expensive. It's a very expensive sport.
It is. Football's expensive too,
but not near as much as it once.
You only play
in
organized because they only play in organized fashion.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, football's expensive too.
If you want to talk about expensive too, if you're saying most people now don't even have streaming services if they're not a full-on fan of any of these sports. So if your parents aren't a big fan of basketball or baseball or football, then they don't have live TV anymore.
Yeah.
So like where we could all, most of us when we were first growing up. You only had what was on national TV or the few games that were. Not everything was on. There wasn't local teams, but you had enough that you could turn it on. But you had you could watch whatever game because there was that TV, and now that's not even an option for a lot of kids. So it's not even like if they go to school and play and they're like, "Hey, you watching the game?" They're like, "Oh, I don't have that. I don't think I can't watch that game."
That's a good point too.
So it's another thing of fighting that uphill battle.
You get to watch more NFLs, so you would have
NFL, yes.
Yeah, so basketball and baseball tougher to watch on a national scale. That's true too.
Yeah, because they don't have the big time game of the week that much on regular TV. You got to have it on TNT. Fox does. I guess Fox still has it, but they also have whatever 1652 is, the other Fox network.
No, you're right.
FS1. If you don't have that, you can't see it either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a different type of deal.
Yeah, I just think every sport's got to deal with this. Every sport has now to cater to the younger generations who have shorter and shorter attention spans. So higher scoring, shorter games.
Right.
Period. Because these kids want to be overstimulated, and they don't have really long attention spans to be able to, kind of stick out to 3-hour games.
If they decide to bring steroids back, I think people will be able to enjoy baseball.
They would love that too. Yeah. All right. We'll get to. So that was an interesting conversation. Obviously, it didn't get to. I don't think get to any answers. But I thought
there will never be.
I thought it was a compelling conversation. All right, we come back. We got Pro Football Focus doing a no-hose-barred mock draft, showing the Longhorns some love, but the wrong Longhorn. And Bill Connolly says this record is the ceiling for the Texas football team this year. We'll talk about that when we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about the League Kitchen and Tavern. The League Kitchen and Tavern has restaurants that are operated right here in Austin, Texas, in 4 area locations: Avery Ranch, Bee Cave, Dripping Springs, Mixed Greens, Egg, Gouda, Bacon, Avocado, Tomato, and Rumla. Boy, you talk about something that's good. And I've been telling you about that stuffed pork chop. They got crawfish in that too, and andouille, and corn stuffing in there. And make sure you get some of those mashers. I've been trying to explain this to you. Now you get your chance to go out there. They kept telling you earlier today that Fat Tuesday is tomorrow, so make your plans right now. And if you want to enjoy a shrimp po' boy, they have that for you as well. Treat yourself, your family, or friends. Either way, I want to see you at the League. You can order online at leaguekitchen.com. That is leaguekitchen.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a smooth soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, designed to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may have had a difficult weekend. That was definitely the case for Texas baseball fans, but they will bounce back. We're sure of it. All right, we come back. Let's get into this story because I saw Pro Football Focus have this article, and I thought it was a pretty clever article. And I knew there'd be some Longhorn love in this article. It's basically a no-holds-barred NFL draft. So basically no rules about eligibility. Everybody in college is draft eligible for this particular Pro Football Focus draft. And before I even looked at it, I said, man, Pro Football Focus loves to thirst trap Texas. They send thirst traps to Texas all the time because they know Texas fans, all right, they love clickbait.
Yeah,
right? They're pretty gullible when it comes to clickbait because there's something about their Longhorns or something that should be about their Longhorns. Damn it, they gonna read it.
Oh, for sure.
So in this article, which is titled "NFL Mock Draft: What Would the First Round Look Like If All College Players Were Eligible?" they have a Longhorn being drafted number 30 overall, actually, in this draft, and they have the Saints at number 30 drafting Quinn Ewers. I know. I say, wow, Quinn Ewers. And you know what they mentioned in here? They mentioned the Bama game. He had an elite 90 Pro Football Focus grade against number 1 Alabama, who is arguably the best defense in college football, on just 15 dropbacks. Ewers had 3 big-time throws. And that is true, but that was just one quarter of football, basically. And we all agree that Bama just decided to play man because they wanted to see if Quinn Ewers was all that he was hyped up to be. Well, arm talent-wise, he was because he put it on him. They tried to play man coverage. He was dropping dimes. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size.
Ooh.
But is that when he was forced to read a defense and process, all right, post-snap, he looked like a young quarterback. He looked like an inexperienced quarterback who hadn't played football at a high level in a year or more. That's what he looked like. And I think in the bowl game, we saw a lot of progress from Quinn. I'm expecting even more progress in the offseason. But the truth is, Harge, if they wanted to put a Longhorn, any Longhorn on this roster, draft eligible or not, that should be drafted in their no-holds-barred draft, it should be Kelvin Banks and not Quinn Ewers. That's how I know it's clickbait, because if it was a real article that was about substance, Kelvin Banks is the guy, not Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, 100%. And that because if we're going based off of the entirety of the season, not just 4 quarters of a game or a first half and then getting back out for the Oklahoma game and you get a chance to mash all that together. No. But what Kelvin Banks did the entire season, the way he went about his business, the way he played, the way he held his own against, you got the list of those high-profiled players and didn't give up a sack to any of them. I think that would be the most upside that you would look at a player for the offensive line. I'm looking through the list and I'm seeing different people, and some guys are eligible right now, some aren't eligible until later, but I'm with you. I think Kelvin Banks is the one that I would have been most excited about.
Yeah, it's possible the Longhorns, if he ends up continuing on this rate of development, on this trajectory, the Longhorns could have the best left tackle in all of college football potentially by the end of next season. I mean, he's got that kind of upside, that kind of potential. And he's been playing. He played at a really high level last year, just allowed 2 sacks and 12 pressures total. I mean, that's all he allowed total. And Will McDonald, Will Anderson, Felix, and Udike Uzoma, all guys who are going to play on Sundays. And one of those guys will be drafted easily in the first round, Will Anderson. Neither one of those guys could get a sack against Kelvin Banks, a true freshman Kelvin Banks.
Yeah.
That is just phenomenal. So that guy, to me, he's the one. He's the one that you might consider could be a franchise left tackle. Those guys are drafted really high. So if he meets expectations, he won't be drafted much higher than 30th, by the way, too. Yeah, if he ends up meeting expectations. He was second team All Big 12 as a freshman with 13 starts under his belt there, too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to this other article just really quickly.
Because I think his sample size was huge.
Oh, you had plenty.
You know what I'm saying? You got plenty of film on him.
Plenty of film. And you had it up against elite competition. Like I said, guys who are going to play on Sundays. And so you can – that's the worst film he's probably going to have.
Right.
I mean, because he's a true freshman. So his film's only going to get better. Bill Connolly had his SP Plus ranking come out. Remember, the Longhorns were a number 8 team, I believe, on his SP Plus rankings before the season. What's the cumulative index and a cumulative stat? But he has the Longhorns at number 8 there, and he usually gives a ceiling and a floor for every team. So the ceiling he has for the Longhorns is basically 11-1, based on his statistical odds. They have basically a 12% chance of finishing 11-1 or better. The floor, he says, is 7-5. 7-5 floor. And 11-1 ceiling. Okay, I don't disagree with that, actually. I don't disagree with that. He points out the Longhorns are 9-2 in games decided by more than one score, with Steve Sarkisian as head coach, and 4-10 in one-score finishes. That has to change, he says. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm gonna leave it until they get out there and do what they're supposed to do. It's just one of those things where I sit there and I believe the hype. I look at what we have, and then we go out there and underperform. Now, we had 8 wins last year. Should have been 9. We could have been able to look at it a different way. But as I go into this season, we've had talent for years. The things that we've looked at for them should have been there a long time ago. I'm just going to sit here and wait. Like you say, Missouri, show me. Show me. If I come out here and I say we're going to win 11 games, people, I'm drinking too much Kool-Aid. I'm drinking too much Kool-Aid. All right, did you see what happened last year? No, I get it, because I have had that thought before. I have walked out here and was like, oh, yeah, this is it. We got this. Ooh, yeah, it's about to go down. Then all of a sudden I'm walking around with egg on my face. Until you show me that you can do it consistently year in, year out, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no excuses year for Steve Sarkisian and for the Longhorns, but I'll give him a ton of props for the progress they made last season after 5-7. Now, he does get the blame for 5-7 too, because 5-7 is 5-7, and a school like Texas should never go 5-7. I don't give a damn how much talent is on the roster or how little talent is on the roster. But I digress. Did a great job with the development last year. I think almost every position got better last season. Found a way to win 8 games. Probably should have won 9 or closer to 10. My big challenge for Sark, for him to overcome, and become a championship caliber coach, he's got to start learning to win the chess match within the game with good coaches. A good coach is defined by a coach that can win at least 60% of his games. That is the Hall of Fame standard. That's why Mike Leach may not even get in, which is BS, by the way. Mike Leach should be in there. Round up, 59.5% winning percentage. But I digress. Sark only wins 40% of his games when he faces a coach that has a 60% win percentage or better. He wins 76% of his games when he faces a coach who is a below 60% winning percentage coach. So when he faces a average to below average coach, he beats him, no question. Right. When he faces a good to great coach, he gets outclassed, outcoached. That cannot happen as much as it has happened in recent years for Steve Sarkisian.
Right.
That's all.
I think he's going to make the move. I think he's done well, and we didn't get a chance to even talk about it, but they also got raises. So he's keeping his coaches around.
They deserve it. They deserve the raises. Yep. He did not get an extension, so the raises. No.
It's more for the staff.
It's basically for the staff when they go recruit, so they are not all on 1-year deals. And so when you negatively recruit against Texas, and by the way, everybody negatively recruits. Texas does it too. It's
100%.
It's like peeing in a shower. Everybody does it. Nobody's going to admit it. But when you negatively recruit against Texas, they would say, oh, he's only on a 1-year deal because they don't believe in anything. Those guys are going to get fired. So now those guys have, lengthier extensions. But until Sark gets an extension, that's how you know Texas believes in Sark. He ain't got that yet. So I mean, he wins the Big 12 next year, goes to a Big 12 title game, he'll get that extension.
Oh, he'll have that medium energy.
Yeah, exactly. And we're rooting for Sark to get an extension because that means he exceeded expectations.
That means he did well.
He did damn good. But Tom Herman got one right after he went to the Sugar Bowl, right?
Yup. We're back.
In retrospect. All right, we come back. We'll let you know what's on tap right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. Need to remind everybody, we'll be at Mudbugs tomorrow down in Buda for Fat Tuesday. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on out to Mudbugs in Buda tomorrow. What you got on tap, Arch?
I'm going to watch a little bit of basketball. I definitely want to be interested in this Kansas TCU game tonight.
Ooh, that's right. Patrick, what's on tap for you, brother?
Instant Series back. It's been a few weeks we've been off, but we'll be back on tonight. I'm sure I'll be yelling about something.
Yeah. Oh, he'll be yelling about basketball, man. I know he's all pumped up.
I hate the All-Star game.
Looking forward to that. Instant Series. I'm going to watch Naked and Afraid tonight. Some true, good, quality trash TV. Also, R.I.P. to Red McCombs.
No doubt.
The late, great Red McCombs now. Shout out to him, passed away today. All right, Revolution not be televised. Talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.